Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 53, the extra special E3 edition. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. How did you enjoy E3? Just general impressions.
General
Let's just jump
impressions.
right into it.
It started too early.
Yes, I got that too. I'm like, I woke up on Saturday, or I got on my computer Saturday afternoon. I'm like, E3's already started? What? It's
Yeah,
like EA has already had their conference.
yeah. Saturday morning, I was saying, all right, I bet I know that someone's going to do something on Sunday. I better check out, see what the conference schedule is. And I went, oh, EA's conference is in an hour. Okay. Um,
Yeah, I had completely missed it,
yeah.
and so I had like an hour, and so I watched and fast forwarded through most of it on Saturday, like 3 hours after it aired, and it took me forever to find a working stream of it too. It's like I clicked on the GameStop one, and the let's see, the IGN one, and it's like all of them were having problems. And eventually, I finally found the actual YouTube one, and that one worked just fine. But so lots of problems trying to watch this thing, which happens every year, seriously. But I think from now on, I'm just going to go straight to the YouTube one, um, and just avoid all the other
The
rebroadcasts.
nice thing about YouTube streams is you can actually pause them if there's someone at the door or something, and then just pick it up where you left
Yeah.
off. Twitch is like it's live or nothing. At least last time I looked at it. But so it started too early in the week. I guess it's not a problem, but it seems. I mean, it's like summer blockbusters. It's like they're starting in March now. So,
Yeah.
um, and also, we just had so much news, big game announcements happening in the weeks leading up to E3,
Yeah.
that E3 didn't quite feel as special.
Yeah, especially from Nintendo. Nintendo, they did so much and just in the
Yeah.
last 2 months their E3 broadcast, their direct just kind of felt not quite as cool as it could have been.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
interesting because
understand.
well, it was interesting because they had that rapid fire direct that was just blowing out a whole bunch of information. Then they had another one where they actually did more to explain what the Zelda DLC was than they managed to do in the actual Nintendo Spotlight. And then there was the Pokemon Direct, which blew out Pokken Tournament, which they kind of had to do because they had Pokken Tournament DX.
Yeah.
And some of the other news, like Monster Hunter Double X or Double Cross, you kind of had to get that out of the way in order to announce Monster Hunter World. So I understand why some of the news came out, but I think a lot of the announcements from various companies could have been saved for E3. But overall, fine show. There was a lot of cool looking games. Um, uh, so yeah. So we'll go
Yeah.
through. Is there anything about? I talked about EA at length on last week's podcast.
Yeah. I listened to that podcast today. I finally got around to it, and
Mm,
yeah, you had a lot to say, and I'm right there with you. EA's conference was just
yeah.
boring as crap.
Yeah.
Not the only it's like the only thing I'm going through my notes here, my Twitter stream, I guess, is that really stood out to me was the way out, and because
Yeah. It's an interesting idea.
yeah.
Pardon the curt word, but it's ballsy to have it's co-op or nothing, kids. You play this with other people,
Yeah,
or you don't
and
play this.
I watched Prison Break, and I
Mhm.
really liked Prison Break. At least the first couple of seasons, especially. And then and so I like the idea, and I like that it's co-op, and that's something that I think we really need a lot more of is local co-op.
Mhm.
It's kind of sad, like a little frustrating that it's only local co-op because it's like it's going to be an M-rated game. I know that much already.
Well, wait. You
Uh,
can co-op it online, can't you? I'm pretty sure you can.
Maybe. Yeah, but I like local stuff. I don't
Yeah.
like playing online, but I guess if I do find someone online that I trust to play with. But it's just one of those things that's like coordinating with someone online is a little more frustrating than coordinating with someone local.
I think the intended experience is definitely couch co-op, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's you can also do online co-op.
Yeah, but it's just, to me, it just doesn't seem like the type of game that my wife will enjoy. So it's going to be kind of hard. I wouldn't probably not be able to co-op with her. And I don't let my son play M-rated games. So it's like, I'm not going to be able to co-op with him. And so it's just, so I'm kind of out of luck there, I guess.
How hard to I'm trying to remember, but how M-rated or hard R did that game seem to you? I don't recall a lot of bad words or anything.
I don't. It just seems like, to me, it's, it just, I don't know. It just, I get the impression that it's going to be M-rated.
Yeah,
but
I get that sense too. The tone, the vibe kind of feels that way.
If they do manage to get a T rating, I'll before I let my son play it, because I don't let him play all T-rated games. Yeah. I still like to check out those, but there's certain T-rated games that I'm just like, whatever. But to review them and make sure that I'm okay with them before I let him play.
What's interesting is it's not just a Prison Break game. It looks like Prison is just the opening levels.
Yeah, that's the first chapter or the first act, and then the other two acts are the escape, and then solving whatever mystery is going to be solved is Act 3. So
yeah. By the way, the ending shot of that trailer where there's one guy standing at the edge of the cliff and the other guy, jump, I'll catch you, and he jumps and he's like completely short, and he's going to catch him with one arm, and I'm like, that's not going to end well. He's just going to yank him right off the cliff because he's not like braced or anything. He's just kind of standing there with his arm extended. I'm like, you're going to pull him right off that cliff. That's the end of the game where they both die.
Yeah. See, Lyrically C says they think language will get at the M-rated rating.
I can't remember any bad words.
Yeah, I don't.
Like the first conference I watched.
Yeah, so. No language stood out to me. At least not like some other games that we saw footage or trailers of later on. But
Beyond Good. We'll get to it, but Beyond Good and Evil 2 had more F-bombs than anything else, I think.
Yeah, but we'll get to that one because
Yeah.
I have words to say. Let's just say
I tweeted about that one. Yeah.
All right, but that's about it. I stopped the broadcast when they got to Star Wars Battlefront 2, just because I as much as I like Star Wars, I just didn't feel like sitting through 30 minutes of whatever it was E3 had going for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Yeah. I watched the introduction with the stormtroopers and the voice actress, and then a few minutes in, I think I partially caught the guy who plays Finn, John Boyega. Yeah, I think I caught part of what he had to say, and I'm just like, oh, that's kind of cool that they got him in there, but it's like not really, didn't tell us a whole lot about the game, but yeah.
Let's show off Star Wars and use the setting that's absolutely least popular with Star Wars fans. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a bold choice right there. Episode 1 setting between the droids and the it's like, why would you even? I don't know. Whatever.
Well, I think the thing with the droids is that because it takes place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, I think the idea is that
the story campaign,
is that the First Order scrounges up everything it can to attack the Resistance, the Republic, or whatever you want to call it, and ends up using those droids as well as their own stormtroopers. But that's my impression. But I could probably.
I think it's just I think they just said, let's just throw every location and faction in the game and let anyone play, because you had Rey running around Naboo.
That's true.
Darth Maul and battle droids.
Darth Maul, okay.
And then Han Solo was wandering around with Rey, and I'm like, I'm fine with this. You know, let's mix all the Star Wars.
Well, yeah, if they're gonna go Lego Star Wars, the complete saga on us, I'm
Hmm.
okay with that.
Yeah. So that's enough of EA because EA is
Yeah,
boring.
yeah,
But you're right. I think A Way Out did look interesting, and the last game from that developer, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, also a co-op game, or actually a co-op game that you played yourself. You played both character, you controlled both characters,
yeah,
one with
because
each
you
thumbstick.
controlled you controlled one character with the buttons and this joystick, and the other one with these two,
Yeah,
and that was a very bold design choice,
yeah.
control scheme choice. So I thought that was really cool.
So interesting game, interesting game. All right, so let us move on to who was next. I believe Micros. Who was it?
Yeah,
Was it Microsoft? Yeah.
Microsoft was the next one. Um, so,
Well, I'll give Microsoft this. I think they had the most variety of games out of really anyone. I mean,
yeah,
they
yeah,
had dark, gritty stuff, but they also had light, colorful stuff. They had a
yeah,
fighting game,
and
they
they
had
were
sports games, they had driving games. They had all kinds of different kinds of games and experiences. So kudos to Microsoft for that.
they were also the only console presentation that did an indie sizzle reel this year.
Hmm.
Sony and Microsoft didn't, or Sony and Nintendo did not do any kind of indie sizzle reel this year,
Yeah.
which kind of surprised me. And I haven't checked in with any of the indie developers that I follow, but so I would like to know what their impressions were. It's like, do Sony and Nintendo even care about indie developers anymore, or are there just not any indie games of note coming out on those systems? Because I know that Sony completely ignored the Vita again this year,
The
even though
what?
yeah,
Never heard of it.
yeah, but okay, but Microsoft, yeah, they had tons of games and so that was really cool. And then they opened up with their brand new console.
Yeah.
The what was formerly known as the Scorpio has now one of the most annoying names ever, the Xbox One X, which was pointed out to me that one of my Twitter followers, let me
Which
pull up
is
that
now the
person's
smallest
name.
Xbox, even smaller than the Xbox One S for small.
Yes, yeah. Let's see here. Seek the Hedgehog or Sick the Hedgehog pointed out that the abbreviation for Xbox One X is now Xbox, which in my response to that was Sony should or Microsoft should be ashamed. It's and they should be shamed for it because man, is that stupid.
Well, it doesn't. Xbox One X doesn't roll off the tongue. It's weird to
Well,
abbreviate
which
because
is
most people abbreviating Xbox One are XBO, and you add next to that, and you just have Xbox again.
Well, I still abbreviate the Xbox One as the Xbone. So
Xbonix.
yeah, now it's the Xbone
But
X.
it's nice to see. I loved how proud of themselves that they seemed to be when they were rattling off all the specs, and I was thinking to myself, you know, you could just make up bogus technical jargon. I think everyone in the audience would be like, "Oh, 150 Carfarbal Schnarbles? That's amazing! What is it? I don't care. There's a lot of them."
Yeah. Well, but funny you should mention that it doesn't roll off the tongue.
All the
I
information
lost
leaked a
count
year
of
ago was true. Yeah.
yeah, but you mentioned that it doesn't roll off the tongue, and I
Mhm.
lost count of the number of people on stage that stumbled
We're
over the
tripping
name.
over it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they had one guy that he like paused like right he got like Xbox One X like that or something like that, and I'm like, seriously? It's like you name it and your own people can't say the name.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice job there, Microsoft. Also, it's I always find it kind of funny when and Sony had this problem with the PS4 Pro, trying to extol the virtues of a piece of hardware that look how much better these games look in 4K on this 720p stream. We know none of you have 4K monitors or HDR capable television sets, but you want to pay twice the price for an Xbox One S for an Xbox One X.
You know,
I almost said like I said the exact
this
same
week,
thing, isn't it? That's going to be
yeah,
fun for Christmas time.
this week I actually did. I looked on Amazon to see what the cheapest 4K monitor slash TVs were, and you're looking at least $300 for the low end off brand televisions, and it's like, you know. I wouldn't touch those with a 10-foot pole. Um, but it's like, so if you want a quality one, you're looking at
You're looking,
750 and up,
yeah.
and
And if you want one of
it's
any
like,
decent size, you're looking at a low grand.
yeah, and so it's just, the 4K capable consoles is just, that is a very niche market right now. There is
Yeah.
very it's a very small market, and it's just, to me, it just doesn't make sense why anybody would uh, go from what they currently have now to that, because your HD streams, cable, satellite don't support it. Blu-rays, while they might look good on it, they look just as good on your current 1080p plasma screen television that
Yeah.
costs $400 cheaper, and then you've got these games, and it's going to be a small minority of games are actually going to take advantage of that 4K-ness.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So it's also $500, which
Yes, $500.
Yeah, which Microsoft tried and failed with the Xbox One in the first place.
Yes,
And they
but
they're
decided it
going to
doesn't come with a Kinect. So,
and they're dropping the price of the S2 250, I believe. So you have the Xbox
yeah,
One S and the Xbox One X for twice the asking price for a visual difference that you probably don't have the hardware to appreciate. And even if you do, I don't know if it's really worth twice the monies
yeah,
for most
and
people. I mean, for some people, it
yeah, exactly.
absolutely is. But for most, I honestly don't see the Xbox One X doing very well.
Yeah, and Scotty J Man in the comments is there with me on this 4K thing. It says this isn't like going from CRT to plasma slash LCD. That was a massive shift. It's you and you can argue that there was a massive shift between DVD and Blu-ray as well. But
Oh yeah.
even then, that wasn't, for those who aren't videophiles, it wasn't that big of a deal. So
There's definitely a big difference between 480i and a
mhm.
1080p. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah,
even my mom can look at and go, "Oh yeah, I see the difference."
yeah,
But
exactly.
my mom, I don't know if she'd be if I plopped her in front of a 1080p display sitting right next to a 4K display. I don't know if she'd be able to spot the difference. I
Yeah.
don't know if most people could. They both look great. So, I mean, I'm certainly not rooting for Microsoft to fail or anything. I just don't
Oh
see
no.
a $500 4K system at this point being a
What is
particularly big
the
seller.
PlayStation Pro is what,
400.
400?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're, even though uh, tech wise, the PlayStation Pro is not up to par with the Xbox One X, is what my
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah. The
But
PlayStation 4 doesn't. For the most, I mean, there might be a couple exceptions, but for the most part, it's not native 4K. It's
yeah,
upscaling to it. Uh,
yeah, and
from
so
what I understand, I'm sorry, Xbox One X is going to be doing mostly native 4K.
yeah, but that $100 price difference is going to be the key there, and I think
Mhm.
that's what's going to hold the Xbox One X behind the PlayStation Pro 4 or
Yeah.
4
Well,
Pro.
Sony also has that gaudy gold PS4 that I think they're dropping to 250. So there's going to be a $150 difference between, unless they drop a PS4 Pro also, which I doubt they will, especially since Microsoft's Pro version is $500.
Nightmare Ninja asks who uses the DVD player feature in their PlayStation system. I use
I
my
do.
DVD player in my PlayStation 2 and my Blu-ray player in my PlayStation 3. Those are I don't own a DVD or Blu-ray player outside of those two systems.
I don't
So
own a HDMI switcher box, so I use as a Blu-ray or DVD player whichever I happen to have hooked up to the TV at the time, the PS3 or the PS4. It depends on what I've been playing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So all right. So let's move on from the Xbox One X.
well, any
Because
particular games really stand out to you in the Xbox?
let's see
One thing I would
here.
like to point out is Metro Exodus, which I can't prove this, but I totally called that was a Metro game. Um,
Oh yeah.
you'll just have to take my word for it. That I have it written in my notes right here. I'm like, Metro?
Now,
Question mark? I'm like,
Metro
yes.
Exodus is the one with the zombie werewolves or whatever they were.
It has
Is
rodents
it?
of unusual size in it. I was so happy. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my god, they even look like the RSUs from Princess
yeah.
Bride. It's great. What I really like,
ROUSs, yeah.
yeah, what I really liked about it is it has a nice atmosphere. It's bleak without being dull looking. It actually has color.
Yeah. There was color. The one level we saw was very interesting to look at. There was lots of story behind what happened to whatever this was, and I thought the ROUSs, the zombie werewolves, whatever you want to call them, I thought that was uh, a good change from your typical zombie game,
Yeah.
and it made me think that we really need um, an apocalypse game where instead of zombies or whatever, it's your vampires, werewolves, and all other Universal Studios type monsters have taken over the world, and humanity is trying to survive. I think that would be a
There
fun
you go.
premise for a game.
Well,
So,
they kind of tried that, I guess, with Order 1886, and then failed
yeah, something like
miserably
that.
because they forgot to put a game in there, and the story
Yeah.
sucked. So,
Yeah.
um,
But yeah, Metro Exodus was the first game on the list that caught my attention, that made me think that I actually wanted to play a first person shooter just because it was different. It's not a war game, it's not a future sci-fi war game, and it's not exactly a zombie shooter. So it's
yeah.
yeah. So
I'd also like to point out that there seems to be a theme this year with angry bears because Metro Exodus ends with an angry bear.
yep, and you got to
The
knock it off a cliff.
Days Gone had in Sony's conference, Days Gone ended with an angry bear. Um,
Angry bear.
there's an angry bear that chases people in Far Cry 5. And I would be surprised if there wasn't an
Uh-huh.
angry bear somewhere in God of War. So I think I
Yeah,
think the next year is going
there's
to be the year
probably
of
going to
angry
be
bears.
one. Angry Bears, yeah, makes should make a game called the Angry Bears.
Yeah. And by the way, I wrote
Um,
the IGN guide for, or I wrote part of the guide for Metro, whatever the last one was, which is
yeah,
probably why I'm so familiar with that game and was able to actually go, that looks like a Metro game. Are they making another one? And yeah, they were. But
yeah.
let's
See,
see.
they had Forza, which they
I
brought
yeah,
it. They
I don't
brought
care.
out that car. I forget what the car was. It was a Porsche, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I just don't
I
care.
almost
I'm not
gave
a
him an
car guy.
award for. I almost gave him an award. We'll do the awards at the end, but I almost gave an award for just why does anybody care kind of award. But it's like, because they're like, and here's
Yeah.
a car, a real car that you'll never get to sit in. It's like, why? How much money did you spend to get a car on a rotating platform on stage? I mean,
Oh yeah,
at least some of the live
it's
action elements of Sony's show were pointless but kind of cool anyway. This was
yeah,
just like no one cares. Show the game, or maybe someone cared.
yeah.
But someone,
I'm sure
somewhere must have
someone
been.
somewhere cared.
Oh man, look at that car! It's a car on stage. Mind blown. Car V3.
Yeah, I'm
Well, I
sure
think by
someone
default
somewhere
that's the car
cared,
at V3.
and yeah, I think that was the only real car on stage somewhere, at least in the show, in somebody's
Yeah.
conference.
No,
Yeah,
so I guess it's also the best and worst car at V3.
yeah. Okay. So after Metro Exodus, which again I think looks cool, and I
Yeah, it
would
could be good.
want to pick out, try out. We had Assassin's Creed Origins,
Which,
and
uh, damn it, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Egypt. Stop Origins. Stop it. Why don't you just go ahead and
uh,
call it Assassin's Creed Requiem or some stupid
well,
name?
yeah, it just from what I understand, this is
I
the
don't care if it's story
first
appropriate. I'm
assassin
tired of
or
Origins.
whatever, and but the other games didn't have locations in their names, so at least I don't think. I don't follow the Assassin's Creed stuff.
Yeah, you're
Um,
right, because it was
uh,
Black Flag, and then there was one that
um,
starts with an RE. It's like Revelations or Re something.
yeah,
But yeah,
I've
you're
heard
right.
it. Yeah.
But still, Assassin's Creed Origins
Did
is
you
a
not
dumb
see how
name.
round those wheels were?
Yeah. But so
Oh,
many polygons on that car. But I mean, the Assassin's Creed looks cool. They're cribbing Zelda's climb-any surface thing, which is fine.
yeah, yeah,
I did think it was really weird at the very end of the demo. Oh, and they were also doing that weird thing that Horizon Zero Dawn was doing in its demo last year with the whoever the lead dude of Assassin's Creed is, uh, kind of narrating the tutorial to himself. I
yeah.
better sneak around this guy. I should crouch in the tall grass so they don't see. I'm like, oh man, if that's actually in the game, I hope this is the first one. And he just shuts the hell up because that's annoying. But I
Yeah,
love how he goes full Beastmaster with the
with
hawk.
that hawk. Yeah, yeah.
That was pretty
Because
cool.
the top, there's no mini map, and I'm like, yes, there is. It's called the Hawk. The Hawk
Yeah,
is the mini map, or it's not really a mini map because it's actually a map view. But you use the Hawk to see where you are and see
yeah.
where all the buildings and stuff are. So
Although
yeah, but that was kind of neat.
one thing I wrote in my notes is the very last image of the trailer is him firing an arrow at his target, and there's like a
Yeah,
first person seek camera following around behind the arrow. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then the target dude who's running away like runs down a set of stairs. I'm like, oh, okay. And then the arrow bends down and follows him down the stairs. I'm like, wait, what?
yeah.
Is this a
It
remote
makes you
guided
think that.
arrow?
Yeah, it
What is
makes you
going
think
on
that
here?
it's just following the arc of the arrow. Like the guy, the assassin planned for the guy to run down the stairs before the arrow hit him. Yeah, so
Maybe it
he's
was
like,
gravity taking over.
yeah, but yeah, that was kind of a dumb thing, and yeah, it makes it look like it's a heat-seeking arrow or something.
I mean, because there are plenty of games where there's remote controlled rockets that you guide in first person to the target, and it felt like that's what they were trying to do with an arrow, which was a little weird. But I saw a gameplay demo of Assassin's Creed and Origins, and there are cats that run around and they will meow at you and sit at your feet and look up at you expectantly, and there better be a pet button. I tell you what, Ubisoft. There
Yeah,
better be a pet the kitty button because
and there
you
there
animate
better be
kitties
an
in the game.
assassinate the kitty button too. So
Well, yeah, but pet them first at least.
here, let me pet you. There we go.
You pet the kitty and your little wrist knife thing accidentally triggers. You're like, oh no! What have I done to Mr.
It
Fluffles?
accidentally triggers.
Yeah. Man, I'm not sure what the in-game logic
Maybe you
is
could
for that
stick
thing.
a kitty on an arrow and fire it.
Uh, well, I know you could. God, that sounds like a postal. I know you
Postal,
use
yeah,
cats as silencers in postal too, but
that's where I got
I always
the.
wondered about how mechanically that wrist thing works. I mean, what if? I mean, it's on your wrist and it shoots out like this. What if your hand is like just barely in the wrong way? You're going to stab yourself in the hand. What if you're going to the bathroom and that thing fires? I mean, or man,
Oh man,
scratching your eye, scratching your eye and
talk
thunk.
about a second circumcision.
Oh man,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
no worry to. Guess I don't have to worry about condoms anymore.
All right. next game on their list was a game called Deep Rock Galactic, which was a futuristic, low polygon bug killing game. So, yeah,
Isn't that the one that had like a weird tag at the very end that said, "You're actually dwarves and dwarves are cool"? Is that the one with the dwarves? Because that
I
was like the only thing notable
like,
about whatever game had the dwarves. I'm like, you should have led with that because that's memorable.
yeah, Danger Darkness Dwarves is
Yeah.
the tagline under the
It's
game.
like, oh, you're
So,
dwarves. Okay, that's neat. That's actually
yeah.
memorable. I would have led with that instead of hiding it, but well.
Yeah, I do like the low polygon look, but
Yeah, it
I
looked
didn't
fine.
get enough of an impression of what the game is going to be like, because just the trailer that it had just made it look like horde mode of every other first person shooter, third person shooter out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it looked a little samey, but the dwarves were seemed to be like the only differentiating factor. So again, I would have highlighted that, but
yeah,
So then they showed off State of Decay 2, which I was looking at, and I was like, wasn't this an early access game? And I think it probably is. There's several similar
yeah,
games. I'm like, this looks like a slow Left for Dead, but it was State of Decay 2. So,
yeah,
which, yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
yeah. No, I don't have much to say about that one.
Yeah. Darwin Project was another battle royale game, which kind of a weird
Yeah.
project to follow PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds because it's like apparently very sim. It's a battle royale game. Although that guy that they had suddenly yelling commentary, I'm like, I could have done without that. They had a guy that says, "Oh, and some guy is doing the thing, caught on the bear trap, but he used the invisibility shield, and oh, Nelly, he's." I'm like, "Oh, stop,
Yeah,
please."
yeah, that was kind of annoying, and yeah, I don't know. My impressions when that came out was I was it looks good, but it just seems like it's trying to tap into that Team Fortress 2. Am I getting the name right? And
Overwatch.
Overwatch
Yeah.
type of market, and honestly, I don't know if it's there really wasn't a whole lot to go on, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to differentiate itself enough, other than having some guy that looks like he's in a prison jumpsuit up against a bunch of people with high tech weaponry. It's like, okay, we've got an axe murderer up against somebody that can go invisible
Yeah,
and
I was getting kind of a
Predators vibe.
Manhunt, the original Manhunt, kind of crossed with
Yeah,
Battle Royale, which
yeah,
actually is exactly what the original Manhunt is, pretty much. Um, all right, so then they showed off Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is pretty and looks better than the show. Um,
yeah,
they had Black
yeah,
Desert, which was, I don't know, some Mamorpaga fantasy brawler with mages and knights and stuff fighting trolls and golems and harpies and large
yeah.
monsters. They had Last Night, which is kind of a 3D but with pixel art characters on a 2D plane. Cool style. Looks like it's some sort of adventure game,
This one
so that might be fun.
stick out to me, so I don't I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
and yeah, there are a lot of games. It's interesting. You have enough games with unique looks, and they all start blending together. Which game with the unique look? Because the next one they showed was The Artful Escape, which was that kind of 3D but with paper cutout characters, 2D side scrolly. Looked really
mhm.
kind of Double Fine style. I mean,
Yeah,
completely different style. But when you're describing them, it's like, well, wait, which 2D, 3D ish one with the so.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see. They showed off Code
We,
Vein, which was leaked or teased a
yeah,
while ago, which not sure what to make of that. It looks
yeah,
kind of like maybe a brawler like Neo or something. It
something, yeah.
I like
Um,
the character design. I like I think it looks pretty neat. So vampire
I,
exploration brawler kind of thing,
yeah,
I guess. You got
we got
Tacoma,
Tacoma.
which was a terrible trailer because it's like you wander around a space station and I don't know.
Well,
But
this is from the developer who made Gone Home,
right,
so
so it's like, yeah, you probably just wander around and try to figure out what happens to everybody. It's
yeah, kind of like all those space movies where they stumble upon a spaceship that they have to figure out. I'm trying to think of what a name of one of them are. Um,
uh,
Solar, I think, was one. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's a very familiar premise, at least for me. But I don't know. I'll probably check it out because I like that kind of stuff. Stuff that's not exactly what you would expect from the game industry. So
yeah. Well, then they finds spotlight on Super Lucky's Tale, which is a mascot platform adventure game with 2D and 3D stages. So that's neat.
yeah,
And then they showed a trailer for Cuphead, and I was like, didn't that didn't
that
hasn't that
hasn't
come
come
out
out.
by now? No, it's still
No,
not out.
it's still
That
not
thing has been
out.
around for like 3 or 4 years now, but apparently it's
And
still not
I
out.
I
So,
still think Cuphead is gorgeous, and I
oh
hope
my
it
gosh,
plays as
yes,
well as it looks.
I
Yeah,
hope so.
I'm in love with the art style. This is an art
Agreed.
style that you have never seen in a video game before, which is
Don't
great.
think
And
so. I mean,
yeah,
about the closest I can think of is intentional throwbacks in like one of the Mickey games. I forget which one it was, Mickey Mouse. But
yeah,
there's a Mickey Mouse game where he goes back through like the history of Mickey Mouse cartoons. So he ends up in a lot of like Steamboat Willie era cartoons. So you'll see some of that style. It's not exactly a Disney style, but you'll see that old 30s era animation style in
yeah,
some of those individual levels. But yeah, gorgeous damn game. And I was like, didn't that
yeah.
come out? Is that still in development? Wow. But September 29th, September
Yep,
29th it comes out.
29. So
And Crackdown 3, which I'm not sure. Terry Crews is like, it's Crackdown 3. Ah! I'm like, are you in the game? Because that's pretty awesome. I'm not really sure, but Terry Crews was enthused. So
yeah.
another game was first announced back in E3 2014.
Yeah.
That one's been around for a while.
Let's see. We got Sea of Thieves, which I want a Pirates game, but I don't want
I
one
don't want to
that's a
play with other
forced
people.
co-op game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Although
want one
I
either.
did I did like the narrator. I genuinely found him
Yeah.
charming and funny.
Yeah, and which is kind of disappointing because the only other pirate game that was shown off at E3 is also a forced co-op game, and
It's Skull and
so
Bones. Is that
Skull
what
and
it's called? I
Bones,
think
yeah,
it's
from
Sony's
Ubisoft.
conference, right? Or Ubisoft. That's right.
It was Ubisoft, but yeah, it's just like I want I think a pirate game where you actually kind of I guess more of a sim game where you kind of halfway control your crew or whatever, and that would be fun, where you actually play as the pirates and everything. But doing a forced co-op one where it's like each player takes a specific role on the ship just does not interest me.
Hmm.
And so, because everybody's going to be fighting over who gets to be the captain, and it's just
Yeah.
like,
I don't know. Yeah, I
and
mean,
nobody
it looks fine for what it is. I'm again not a
yeah,
multiplayer guy, so. They also
yeah,
showed Ashen again, another game that's been around for years. It's
hmm
the faceless characters, kind of blocky, look almost like big 3D rendered characters from games like Out of This World and Flashback, that kind of a
yeah.
style.
On the pirates thing, Matthew mentioned Sid Meier's Pirates, and yes, that's how Sid Meier's plays. I think
Mhm.
mostly, and it's a game that I keep meaning to buy, and I never get around to it. Even though it's like I want a Pirates game, but I haven't bought Sid Meier's
Yeah.
Pirates yet.
So getting another Life is Strange, and that's
Yeah.
nice. And showed
Let's
some
see.
Middle Earth: Shadow of War, which had some really great dialogue from Bruise or whatever, the big
Yeah.
orc guy. I actually really liked the dialogue from that guy. It was genuinely pretty entertaining.
hmm
Um, what else did we have?
We
Ori and the
had
Will of the
Ori and the
Wisps,
Will of the
which showed
Wisps.
nothing.
Yeah, it showed
I mean, it
nothing.
was
The
pretty.
artwork is pretty, but yeah, there's nothing there. It's like
If you had
then
not, you can only assume it plays something like the first game. Otherwise, there's nothing there that gives you any idea what kind of game that is,
yeah.
or even what the story is. It's just moody. Yeah, definitely pretty. I like the art. I like the music, and that was a very sad owl. But but told me nothing about the game.
Yeah, and then they closed off with Anthem, the game that
Which is
EA
Destiny.
teased the night before,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get to see that it's just a multiplayer shooter
It's Destiny.
where you get to build your own
It's
suit.
a
Yeah, it's
multiplayer loot
Destiny.
game like Destiny.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
So
looks fine. Getting a robot suits and fly around and shoot things. Great.
yeah, which I'm not interested in. Sorry, BioWare. I loved you back in the day, but you have been consumed by EA. I'm sorry.
Oh, and they showed off Minecraft and they made the graphics prettier.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Minecraft now supports 4K.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, all
Fine.
right.
Whatever. Okay, so after did you see the Devolver Digital conference?
No, I did not watch the Devolver
Okay,
Digital.
that was a joke. That was a good joke. It just needed to be workshopped a little bit more, I think, because it didn't completely fly. You basically had the lead of a woman named Nia Struthers who struts out on the stage, and she's labeled as the chief synergy officer, and she gets the audience to shut up by firing a gun into the air. And says funny things like tomorrow's unethical business practices today. And they showed off a couple games, but most of it was just joking around and doing funny skits like you've complained that now you can buy a game right now, though it's not even out yet with early access. And so we have Devolver Digital's earliest access, a revolutionary way to hastily rush unfinished content to you. And they had a thing where you can literally throw money at the screen so that it goes right into their bank account. A lot of really good ideas. It feels like something that was a great idea that they had at the last minute and didn't have enough time to really properly workshop and organize it. There was a lot of good stuff in it, but overall it didn't quite work. But whoever was organizing that, I think had some fun ideas. But anyway, moving on to...
I read about some of the stuff afterwards, and I'm like, I might wanted to watch that at least, seeing what...
It's only 15 minutes long. It's worth a watch, I think. So, Bethesda.
Bethesda. I did not watch Bethesda. I checked out because their show started at like midnight Central Time, and I'm like, why? I don't want to stay up that late.
Kept screwing up, but Bethesda, I'm not... if I were Bethesda, I may have skipped this year because most of the stuff they showed was just, hey, you remember Quake and Fallout 4 and Dishonored and Elder Scrolls, and it's like, aren't those games great? We made those. It's like, we've been playing.
Yeah, it's like, out of everything they have, the most interesting thing is their creation club, which is basically what Steam tried to do.
We really want to charge you for mods.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's what it is they want to charge you for mods, but
we want to look like we're doing you a favor by charging you for mods. It's for the best.
But I looked at the list of everything they announced from articles that were published the next day, and I'm like, I'm not watching their conference because nothing is here that is interesting. And
they started out with a game montage of Dishonored 2, Fallout 4, Prey, Doom, Skyrim. And I'm like, so it just it's like, remember all our cool recent game? Look, here's footage. Yay. So they have Doom VR, so a VR version of Doom, which seems to have some kind of possession mechanic. Then Elder Scrolls Online.
Fallout 4 VR.
Morrowind bit, which, okay. And then some card game, which I didn't catch the name of because I think it was Elder Scrolls Legend, and I really didn't care.
Sorry, I got called out by Scotty J Man. He says that you Americans can't complain. A Nintendo event was at 2 a.m. in Australia. I'm sorry, man. I understand.
We're very self-centered.
I'm only 2 hours off from E3, and I understand that everybody else in the world is more affected by me. But I did not want to watch this thing at midnight. That was a stupid
Yeah.
to do this. Okay, but
So
continuing on.
Skyrim on Switch, they showed
Skyrim
that there's a
VR.
Zelda costume, but do you get it for free? Do you get the Zelda costume for dropping $60 on a 6-year-old game? That when you could have the special edition right now for 30? No. No, you also have to buy an expensive toy to unlock a costume for a
Isn't
character in a first-person game. It can be played third
but
person, yes,
the
but
chances of you finding the Zelda amiibo is
yeah,
pretty slim,
it's
and it's like
unclear. Yeah, it's unclear if it's specifically that amiibo. I think it's the Breath of the Wild Link Archer amiibo,
yeah,
which
that's
is out
the
of stock everywhere. And
yeah.
that's
So
one of
it's
the more
like,
expensive
can you
amiibos
use
anyway.
Toon Link and still get that? Can you
Yeah,
use the Twilight Princess Link? Can you use any of the
my
other Link
guess would be
amiibos?
no. So now I think Nintendo did announce that they're doing a rerun on a lot of the Zelda amiibo, which is good because
Well,
again,
yeah,
if it's
because
that
they've got
specific amiibo, it's gonna run you about $45 to get one right now because it's out of stock everywhere. But
yeah.
really, it's a 6-year-old game. You're charging full price for it. You can't give us the damn costume for free. We have to pay $60 for an old game that's cheaper everywhere else and probably looks better. I'm guessing this isn't actually the special edition.
Yeah.
No, we have to pay $60 on an old game
Well,
that
no,
we could have
they
less
did
in addition
confirm that.
buy an extra toy.
Yeah,
Ah,
my understanding is that they confirmed that all available DLC is going to be included, other than the Link Amiibo stuff. But so like if there's that was my understanding, is
well, I
that
don't think they said that at the
somebody had
conference.
mentioned
They
that.
may have
Yeah, they
said
didn't
that
say it at
somewhere
the
else.
conference. I think they just confirmed it in a
They also
follow-up
didn't give
story
us the
somewhere.
date. Still
Yeah,
haven't dated this damn thing. It's like it's not ready yet. Come on, guys. But I know a couple people who are like super excited for portable Skyrim. So
yeah,
good on you.
I guess.
Glad you're getting what you want. Dishonored Death of something or other is a expansion or
Yeah,
DLC
Death of
or
the
something.
Outsider. Yeah,
Death, yeah.
it's a standalone adventure. So
Is it okay?
yeah,
And I think it stars just some side characters from the game. So cool.
yeah,
Then they showed off basically a commercial for the Quake Champions World Championships. Um, thanks for that. Evil Within 2 is coming October 13th. Um, Wolfenstein 2, October 27th. I think I missed that. Which actually looks really great. So
yeah,
good on them for that. And that was it. That was the entire Bethesda show.
yeah,
So a lot of old stuff, but some
yeah.
newer expansions and things.
Yeah,
Uh,
nothing that interested me at all. I'm sorry. I just
yeah.
Bethesda doesn't make anything that I care about.
Wolfenstein, I really like the new Wolfenstein, and the new sequel looks like it's going to be a lot of fun too. So good on them with
Yeah.
that. But yeah, other than that, I'm like, you probably could have just jammed this stuff into someone else's conference. It seems like a lot of expense to go to
Yeah,
for not a whole hell of a lot of
yeah,
new
they
stuff.
probably
But
could have. Probably could have equally split everything between Nintendo or Sony and Microsoft, and then had Skyrim and Nintendo's, and that would have been sufficient, I think. So
yeah. So next was the PC show, which I actually didn't watch last year.
I
Um,
didn't watch it this year either.
I watched it the first year and I thought it was all right, and I watched it this year. I missed last year. So the first year they had this very talk show style with a desk and
Yeah,
a couch, and they'd bring game developers on and sit them down and talk to them. And I actually liked that format. I don't know if they did that last year, but this year they just had two stools and a dark stage, and they just kind of sat there and chatted. I'm like, I mean, that works, but it's a little dull. I like Sean Plott, I think, the host. I think he's
yeah,
fun and his jokes work. So we saw a new expansion for XCOM 2, which looks cool. Saw Ooblets, which is a Double Fine game where you have like little critters in a garden and take them on adventures, and you can like customize your home and your characters, and I don't know, it's a thing.
Yeah.
BattleTech strategy mech battler. It's based on an old tabletop game. Mountain Blade 2 was the horseback military strategy battler. They fine. Total War Warhammer 2, which they should really call Total Warhammer, but you know, it's a war
Why go
strategy game with elves and lizard man armies. Shadowverse Wonderland Dreams is an expansion to some card game that looks exactly like Hearthstone. I mean, it looks exactly like Hearthstone. If they didn't call it Shadowverse Wonderland Dreams, I would have thought it was Hearthstone. Then Intel talked about their chips and how cool they were and bored me to death. And then they talked about an indie contest that Tim Schafer was judging and esports, and Intel provides the tech for ESL, so yay. They had some VR stuff. Player Unknown's Battlegrounds was there again. Rising Storm 2, military shooter just released. Killing Floor has a VR spooky haunted house thing. Forza Motorsport, it's on the PC. It's like, of course it is, because if it's on the Xbox One, it's also on Windows 10, so that wasn't too surprising. Sea of Thieves, last night, so they showed that again. Islands, which is some survival crafting game where you kind of set up your own adventure for other people to share with other people, I guess. So a PC game. Griftlands, which is a sci-fi RPG. It's got an animated 2D art style with a kind of a pop-up book style environments to run through. I like the style. I'm not sure about the game. Lone Echo, which is a VR title where you're an AI in space and you use your hands to drag yourself around. I don't know. That's going to depend on how fun that is to control. That could be just really fun. Lawbreakers, which was Cliff Bleszinski's new game. Of course, he's like, and Lawbreakers, it's going to be $30. None of that $60 multiplayer only bullshit. And he says, will it be balanced at launch? No. That's why we need your help with the beta. I'm like, okay. It's a multiplayer deathmatch shooter. Showed off Wargroove, so yeah, that's not a Switch exclusive. Not sure if anyone thought it was, but that was on a Nintendo Direct a while back. Middle Earth: Shadow of War again showed a cutscene with Galadriel's assassin. She has a DLC story coming, and then definitive edition of Age of Empires, so remake of that, and it looks. It's not a modern looking. It's just kind of cleaning up the old graphics and sound and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice. So that's it for PC. What was next? Oh, Ubisoft. Moving on to Ubi.
All right.
Ubisoft. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is indeed it's XCOM. It is exactly XCOM.
Yeah.
It is using half and full cover. It's using the same icons for half and full cover that XCOM uses. And I am totally okay with this. I think it's, man, is it cartoony and looks a lot of fun. Really, the only issue I have with or concern rather that I have with the game is in XCOM, you're dropped into a play area, and you have the kind of whole fog of war thing, and you push forward cover to cover and explore the area until you run into the enemies, and then you start fighting with them. In this game, there are individual arenas. So you walk around the overworld until you get to an arena, you go into the arena, you fight the dudes in there, and then you move on. The fighting looks like the battle mechanics looks like it has the potential for a lot of coolness and a lot of fun. What concerns me is everything in between, because most of what has been shown so far is you just walk on a very linear path from battle to battle, and there's nothing to do except kind of look around the really neat and well-constructed environment, because there's a lot of really neat vignettes, like a Goomba being stuck to a wall with like honey or something. It's just kind of kicking its feet. And there's another Goomba that's kind of stuck on a water spout. There's two rabbits slap fighting. There's a lot of neat stuff to look at. There just doesn't seem to be a whole hell of a lot to actually do. So my
Yeah,
biggest concern about the game is how fun is the game going to be between actual fights, and they haven't
yeah.
shown
It's
a
like
lot of that yet.
yeah, because if you play a Mario game, you've got the map, and you go from node to node, level to level within the
Yeah.
world. But then you've got little branches off to where you could go to Toad's gambling house or the
Hmm.
Toad store. You could go to these short side levels where you can get power ups to help you
Yeah.
move on to the next one. You can do all that kind of stuff, and if they don't have that, it's going to be kind of a disappointing type Mario type game. But to be honest, as much as I like Mario games, the rabbits just annoy the crap out of me.
Yeah,
And
if
and
you can't stand the rabbits, not going to be for you.
yeah, I tried watching the cartoon. They had they have a cartoon, and I think it's just like shorts, like 5 minute shorts or
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
And I can't sit through one of those because they are just that annoying. They're worse than the minions, and you know at least in the
Repetitive
minions,
version.
yeah. But at least with the minions, you have the rest of the cast of Despicable Me and the
Hmm.
story that they have, and the Minions movie was just absolutely terrible. It's a horrible cash grab. But the actual Despicable Me movies are actually fun to watch, and the Minions as side characters are okay, but as a focus, yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
It
same with
really
the
comes
Rabble.
down to well, one, if you can't stand XCOM, this is not going to be a game for you. Also, if you just genuinely can't stand the Rabbids characters and their brand of humor, yeah, the game's probably, no matter how much you may love XCOM, you'll probably just be annoyed the entire time. I personally, actually, while I don't like all of their games, I like the Rabbids. I find them funny. I haven't
Yeah,
actually seen the cartoon, so I have no idea. I've seen several like online shorts that were advertisements for other stuff, like the Winter Olympics one year that I thought were pretty funny. I really like the Wii game Rabbids Go Home. I think that one's a ton of fun.
mhm.
Um, so I'm really looking forward to this game. Really, again, as I
Okay.
said, the only concern I have is there going to be fun stuff to do between battles other than just kind of walking around? And they've shown very little. They've shown a couple sequences where there's one thing where you want to get to a little island over here with a treasure chest, and you have to turn cranks to manipulate rotating bridges to get over there. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
There was also two different little puzzles where you have to wander around and collect 8 red coins to make a treasure chest appear, where there's a new weapon or whatever in there. Okay, but most of what I saw is like it's just like this linear path that there's nothing to do on it. So,
yeah.
but we'll see. They may just have not wanted. They just I think they just really wanted to focus on the battling and battle mechanics because
Yeah,
that's the majority of the game.
probably, yeah. And granted, XCOM is the type of game that I would like to play. I've never actually played an XCOM game, but I like those strategic uh, where games require a little more strategic thinking than your typical shooters or whatever. So strategy games, XCOM style games, I do like that, but just the rabbits are a little
Yeah,
off-putting for me.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
uh,
that's definitely going to be a hurdle for a lot of people,
a lot
unfortunately.
of
So,
people, yeah. And then we had a surprise appearance from Miyamoto. He showed up
yeah,
with a bullet bill style hand cannon,
handgun. Yeah,
and yeah, which was really cool. With the Nintendo does their digital stream, and so they don't get to do the live stuff very often anymore. So it was kind of cool to see him live some again.
yeah,
I still, one of my favorite E3 moments is they did the Pikmin thing,
yeah.
where yeah, where it's like the Pikmins were in the closet and stuff, and then was it Miyamoto that came out on stage after that?
It was. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like him getting ready to go on stage, and then he walks right out on stage at the end of the short video, and the video was, of course, pre-recorded and stuff, and he just waited for his cue to walk on stage. But that was a fun opening. I liked that. I liked that introduction. That's one of my favorite E3 moments, and so this is another cool thing. Nintendo has a lot of fun with this stuff, and
yeah.
so.
So, actually, hang on a second while I Or well, actually, move on because I'm pulling up a.
A help ticket at work.
Wow, yeah. Okay, there we go. Um,
Oh, let's see. But moving on, we've got the Crew 2, which is, I guess, I don't know. I don't know much about the Crew.
you race cars and
But,
boats and planes and motorcycles,
yeah,
and it's a racing game. Whatever. You like
pretty
racing
much.
games? It's a racing game. Meh. South
Yeah,
Park: The Fractured Butthole, another game. It's like, is that not out yet? Seems like that one's been on dock for a
yeah.
while, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't care about South Park, so I'm
yeah,
not.
but I actually heard Stick of Truth was really good. Never played it myself. I
Yeah,
may have if Ubisoft would have released it on the Wii U, the only platform of that generation that it didn't release it on, Ubisoft. Um, but I mean, it was a THQ game at first, and Ubisoft inherited
yeah,
still. Uh, then they showed Transference, which,
yeah. I
well,
don't
Elijah Wood was there,
understand
so my sister was very happy. Uh, I guess it's a VR game that
it.
I'm not totally sure. There seems to be a
Yeah,
story. It's like, hey, we've encoded some weird person's brain patterns into a VR helmet, and now you get to experience the weird person. But don't worry, it's totally safe. I'm like,
yeah.
great, but how does it play? What do you do? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, it was a
this,
total mystery. This was just the weirdest thing and made no sense just watching it. And yeah, I have no idea what to do with it.
yeah. So
Um,
basically, I mean, like Ori and the Willowy Wisps, Wisps of the Willows, or whatever it's called. Um, if a gamer watches your trailer and has absolutely no idea how the game plays or even what genre it is, I feel you have failed.
yeah, I
So,
can understand a teaser trailer, but
especially if it's for a
E3 is
known property.
yeah, but E3 isn't the place for teaser trailers. I'm sorry.
I
E3 is the
agree.
place for this is a game that we're making. This is what it looks like. This is what it plays like. And this is why people want to buy it. That's what E3 to me is about. But
Agreed, and we'll
so
get
many
into
people just
more of that when we talk about Nintendo. But
yeah.
moving on to Skull and Bones, which
Skull and
is
Bones.
more
Yeah.
pirate ship battle-y stuff. Looks like there might be sea monsters like a kraken in there too.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
They had a Kraken that showed up, and that was
yeah.
really
I may have misheard this, but I hope I didn't, because as you're wandering around, your crew members are yelling canned lines around. Oh, hoist the mainsails! Yar, piratey! I think one of them yelled, "Drown, you soggy nutmegs!" I'm like, oh my god! And I immediately wrote that, "Drown, you soggy nutmegs." I'm going to have to use
interesting.
that in real life because that's the
That
funniest
is
thing ever.
interesting.
I hope that's actually a line in the game. I'll
Yeah.
never play this game, but it makes me happy that that's a line there somewhere.
Yeah, but
Um,
Skull and Bones again. I
yeah,
really like the way it looks. It's a different look than Sea of Thieves because the Sea of
yes,
Thieves is a little more
more
cartoony,
cartoony. Yeah,
and this one it seems like they really like the pirate mechanic of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, so they're making a game dedicated to that. But again, the forced co-op and PvP is just a big turnoff for me. Um, so
yeah,
yeah, but the Kraken was really cool. I like that it ended with the Kraken. That's like, you're fighting the ship, and then all of a sudden it disappears, and everybody's like, "What? Where'd it go?" And it pops up on the other side of your ship
mhm.
because a Kraken dragged it underwater. And it's like, really, you got to imagine the strength and size of a Kraken to be able to pull a galleon size sailboat underwater that quickly and yeah, that was crazy. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So next was Just Dance 2018, and it's Just Dance. What do you want?
Yeah,
Although the one thing I had no idea who the person Bebe Rexha, no
yeah. I have
idea who
no
that
idea what
is.
that is.
I'm
No idea.
There's the
And
pulse, and then there's my finger, and they're way on the other sides of the room. I have no idea who that is. The one thing I
yeah,
noticed is the person that came out in the panda costume, that panda costume looks like it's seen some shit. that was that was a funky looking panda costume. It looks like that thing got dragged behind a car for 6 city blocks or
Yeah.
something. That it was looking a little rough.
This isn't the worst dance number they've done with a Just Dance game,
No,
but
they kept it fairly short.
Yeah, they kept it short at least, because they had one that just went on forever.
Yeah, I think
a
like
couple
2 or 3
E3s
years ago,
ago, and
had
and
what's his name? I don't remember, but it went forever.
yeah, that one went forever, and I hated it. And but this one, they at least got it over with. Said showed that it was Just Dance 2018, and it's coming out this fall, and then they moved on, thankfully. But, yeah.
Scotty points out it's coming out on the Wii for all you retro gamers.
Yeah.
So okay,
yeah.
so Phone Destroyer, which is some South Park iPhone game. So
Yeah.
whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
Starlink Battle for Atlas, which is a Toys to Life spaceship combat game. Which
Toys to Life, seriously.
I know,
Ubisoft.
but here's the interesting thing: instead of Skylanders and Disney Infinity, where you have that portal of power thing that sits on your floor or coffee table, where you have to put down your controller, go find the toy, put it on the thing. This one, the toys actually snap onto a mount that's on the controller, so you can do things, I guess. So I guess it keeps it a little more local, which is nice.
Yeah.
I still think it's really irritating because I have to buy extra toys, but they did say that digital versions of the collectibles are available. Now, as long as they're available in-game and it's not you're either going to the store to buy physical objects or you're going to the online store to buy digital versions of the objects. If it's a matter of if you want to buy the physical toy, if that makes it more fun for you, go right ahead, but you don't have to, then I'm completely fine with that. I honestly have no idea why anyone would want to, I need missiles. Let me go get the missiles and snap it onto my little ship thing. I'm like, why would you ever not have missiles on that thing? I mean, I don't know enough about the game to realize, to understand. Maybe you can only have like one weapon at a time or 2 weapons at a time, and you have to just swap them out.
It was it looked like it was the base ship, and then there was at least 2 things that you could snap on, one on either wing. I think there might have been a third one or something, but yeah, it looked like there was at least 2 things 2 places you could snap accessories onto. But yeah, I'm tired of Toys to Life stuff.
Disney Infinity died. Dimensions is just kind of coasting on the DLC,
the Lego
stuff, just expanding on what exists. Skylanders looks like it's really winding down with its actual games. They're keeping the Amazon, Netflix show. But
it's just
it's interesting to see a new Toys to Life property come out. It's like, guys, are you not reading the market? These are dying. I mean, that would have been like in 2000. I don't remember what year, but you remember how someone coming out with like hey, let's do a Rock Band game with a bunch of plastic instruments right after Rock Band 4 or whenever it completely died. Be like, what are you guys doing? Lyrically, he says that Baby Rexall, or whatever her name is a pop artist who has songs on the radio. I'm sure she is.
In 13 UQ,
AM radio, really?
AM radio.
Probably not, but
probably not. Yeah, but yeah, but at least it's kudos to Ubisoft. At least it's a Toys to Life game that's not geared towards kids.
Yeah, I guess.
Or at least not directly geared towards kids. Because you've got Skylanders, Disney Infinity are
it seems to be a serious space combat game,
market, and then Lego. As much as kids love it, adults love Lego as much anyway as well. So that's a kind of a universal appeal. But this one seems more geared towards older teens and adults who like space sims.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna completely fail.
Probably.
Now I can't read the market for a damn, but I'm like, well, I have no interest in it, so why would anyone else?
Yeah, seriously, I think it's not going to do well at all.
Yeah.
Because there's just, it's not a recognizable property, so that's a big negative to it, and it's just all, you know, if the gameplay isn't that good, nobody's going to buy the toys. So.
Yeah. So next they showed Steep, which I was like, that came out already, and it looked
Yeah, it's like
exactly
you
the
got more.
same. And it took like almost the entire trailer before I figured out that I think it's an expansion of some sort that adds like Winter Olympic Games. I
Something
think.
like that, yeah. And then they had was it a guest presenter? I forget
I
who.
don't
Somebody
know.
somebody came out and it wasn't a recognizable person, and I just kind of glossed over it.
I
But
blocked it from my memory. Then they
yeah,
showed some Far Cry 5, and
yeah. And my impression is you
it's
know,
Far Cry.
it's Far Cry, yeah. But you know, they open up with a bunch of white nationalists who have like Nazi flags combine, you know, that combine
The Iron Cross, I believe,
Confederate
thing
battle
instead of
flag,
yeah.
and it's like, and then they're all singing Amazing Grace, and this
Damn
is a
fine
song.
singing voice though.
Yeah, but it's very unsettling. And
Oh, well,
while
yeah.
Amazing Grace is a very very old hymn, um,
Mhm.
in my mind, when I think of Amazing Grace, I often think of singers like Aretha Franklin,
Sure.
and you know, and so it just seems weird to me that white nationalists would be singing it, but maybe they're trying to reclaim their
Well,
heritage or
they
something,
are
cultural
religious,
appropriation.
culty,
Yeah.
fanatic-y, religious-y peoples. I don't know what religion they're supposed to be. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Yeah, it's just
some
some kind of
spin-off of
fanaticism.
Christianity or what they're doing with that. But whatever, they
Yeah,
mosey on into a town and they're like, "We're gonna save all your souls by killing
killing
you."
you.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
how that works, but and so you need to kill them first
yeah, and
before
then
the giant angry bear eats them. But what's great is you have Boomer Fangs for hire, which is a dog that attacks baddies and brings you their weapon, which is all kinds of adorable.
yeah,
There was
and it
also
just
this great thing in the trailer where the sniper lady, she says, "Where do you want me?" And then the first person view is like, uh, how about up in the water tower? Like the only possible place a sniper
yeah,
would be of any
the
use.
only high, yeah, the only high ground. Let's see.
It's like you have one job.
Let's put you in that
Where do you
basement
think you
window
should
over
be?
there. Let's put you in that basement under there, that house over
Sniper, do you even sniper?
there. Yeah, but I will say it seems like this is going to be you know, my impression is it's Hicks versus Hicks, rednecks versus rednecks. Just the voice acting and the look of all the characters. It's like, yeah, you know, at least they're consistent. And then you had a bunch of people on Twitter pointing out that, hey, look, there's black people in that cult, and it's like, okay, that doesn't make it better.
Uh, good,
I think
bad,
I think
gay, what?
yeah.
All right.
So I don't know.
I mean,
All
there's
right.
don't recall any. I'm thinking of the poster.
I
It's
think
all white dudes and one
yeah, it's all
woman.
white dudes, but I think somebody was trying to point out that in the chapel scene at the
Some of
beginning,
the grunts.
you
Oh, some of the people in the
somebody's
church.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
but yeah.
Sure. I just want to get a Boomer the dog.
Yeah, that is cool though. Boomer the dog is awesome.
Yeah. Wasn't
Yeah.
Boomer the name of the dog in Independence Day? That,
I can't tell you. I don't. The one that ran away from the fire. Yeah, I
yes,
know the
I'm
dog
pretty
you're
sure
talking
that was
about.
Boomer.
Yeah.
Maybe, or I don't know. Anyway, so last on the list was Beyond Good and Evil 2, which
I
we
did
won't be seeing for at least 2 years, if not
at
3.
least 2 years. My money is on 2020 at the earliest.
Yeah.
But I was not when that trailer first started. I was not aware that it was actually going to be Beyond Good and Evil, so I was cracking jokes that that Page has really let him, or Page or
Yeah.
whatever it is, has really let himself go, and that kind of stuff, and then it turned into Beyond Good and Evil. I'm like, what the
Well,
crap?
the thing is it looks like Beyond Good and Evil. The design, there were so
Yeah,
many BG&E design elements that were, or I'm sorry, so many design elements that were BG&E. but the tone didn't feel like
Yeah,
Beyond
yeah,
Good
the
and Evil, because there
tone
are
is
a bunch of
totally
F
off.
bombs
Yeah.
in this, and I'm like, and I said this on Twitter, I'm not bothered by profanity, but this feels tonally discordant
Yeah,
with the first
exactly.
game.
And that's my big issue is that Beyond Good and Evil is a T-rated game, and it builds a lot in the world with the characters. It's like you know that when Jade goes to the body shop to get new stuff added to her hover car, you just by the conversation she has with the rhinos. The rhinos,
Hmm.
I think. The conversations here,
Yeah.
they know each other, that they have worked with each other in the past, and you get that from a lot of interaction, a lot of the characters that you interact with as Jade, and it feels like a world that she's lived in for the last 25 years, and so when she gets recruited by the resistance, whoever, I forget their names now, but when she gets recruited, you know that they look to her as someone that they know can get the job done because of her reputation and everything, and it's not one of those, you're the hero, you've got, you're going out, but there was just a lot to love about Beyond Good and Evil, and they did it all in a T rating, and and
Hmm.
and now it's just, you know, it feels like they're going edgy for edgy's sake, and but this is way early. Like, we don't have
Yeah.
anything to indicate what the end game is going to look like. But if that's the tone they're going for, to me, that just kind of seems like they missed the point of the first game.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, it was a CG movie created to promote a new video game, and I remember the CG movie that was created to promote Beyond Good and Evil 2 back in 2008. So
Yeah.
I'm not really holding a lot of stock in this, but they seem to think that uh,
Yeah, and then
Michelle Ancel seems to be really, hey, we're finally doing it this time. So
yeah, but they've got like Kotaku actually got to go and see a an early
behind the
gameplay video and
doors.
talk to
Yep.
the behind doors thing,
Yep.
and they were talking about how it's going to be a drop-in multiplayer game and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, that's not Beyond Good and Evil. I'm sorry. Forcing, multiplayer aspects and all that, it just doesn't seem like, yeah, they just doesn't seem like they know what Beyond Good and Evil was and why people liked it, and so
Yeah, I mean, it's way, way, way too early to judge,
yeah,
but really, as I said before, the only thing that struck me is that while it has a lot of design elements that look like Beyond Good and Evil, it doesn't feel like Beyond Good and Evil. And that's not to say you can't do something wildly different with a sequel, or in this case, a prequel.
yeah,
Um, but
and
I mean, it may be great. And again,
yeah,
profanity does not bother me. It just didn't feel like Beyond Good and Evil, and I thought that was
yeah,
an interesting choice.
and I don't mind, Beyond Good and Evil, the first one took place in a small island nation. It was like basically one city,
Yeah,
and then you move on to the moon, I believe.
yeah.
But it just took place in a very confined area. So yeah, there's an entire world to explore in within another game, and an entire universe as they're going for here, but uh, their ambitions are pretty up there, and
Yeah. Well, I have high hopes because Beyond Good and Evil is one of my favorite games,
yeah,
and I, fingers crossed. I hope Beyond Good and Evil
yeah,
2 is great.
I hope they make a very good sequel and they make the fans happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I am apprehensive at the moment until I see more, and
Yeah.
and hopefully we do see more next year, because
Mhm.
I would hate for it to be, here's this cool trailer, here's a bunch of stories about Beyond Good and Evil 2, and then we see nothing next year. That would be really annoying.
Yeah. It'll be like, all right, I'll see you in see you in another 9 years for for the next CG trailer. Um, so, all
Yeah.
right, Sony's show was next.
Yeah.
Um, they
They
started with an advert for View, which says the rules of TV has changed. I don't know what that is, and I don't care.
don't care. Yeah.
But there's an ugly gold PS4 that's 250, so that's nice.
Why would anybody want a gold PS4? I don't know.
I don't know. It's really ugly, I think, but
Yeah.
hey. Then
Yeah.
a music quintet came out and played something, and they had some really neat instruments. One that looked kind of like an accordion, and they sat there and they just played an entire. It reminded me of last year when they had an entire orchestral movement of, I think it was God of War, and they did it for like 5 minutes. This one was not quite as long, but it was just they sat there and they played music and then they stopped and then they left. And it was like, okay.
Okay.
Um, and I'm sure that music is recognizable to some. It wasn't to me, but that led into the Uncharted: The Lost Legacy uh, footage, which it's Uncharted. If you like
Yeah, it's
Uncharted and
Uncharted.
you like Nadine and Chloe, I think was her name,
Claudia.
I'm I think you'll like this too.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah, it
certainly get
just
it. 'Cause this
doesn't
looks
have just doesn't have Nathan Drake in it, so or at least
good
not
because
as a star.
had enough of Nathan Drake and his half tucked shirt. Then it started snowing in the theater, and they showed some DLC thing for Zero
Yeah,
Horizon called the Frozen Wilds.
yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn Frozen Wilds.
and Horizon Zero Dawn is definitely when it is going to be one of the first games I buy for the
Mhm.
PS4, and so yeah, I like this stuff, and definitely some great visuals in it, and
Yeah, yeah.
so
So let's see. Then they showed that trailer of Days
Days
Gone,
Gone, yeah,
where he's like, "Oh, that goofball is out. Let me get on my motorcycle and chase him." And then he gets chased by a wolf, which paces him on a motorcycle. And I'm thinking, drive faster. It's a wolf. I mean, come on.
driving 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean that's a fast wolf. So he hits
So yeah,
people.
he shoots the dog,
Yeah.
and then he's like driving 35, 45 miles per hour and gets clothesline, and he's not immediately decapitated.
Uh, yeah, and then he
Uh,
gets up and I'm like, yeah, you would be dead. You'd be
yeah,
that there's no. And so then there's these two guys that knocked him off a bike. He shanks one and then walks towards the other with his knife and strangles one with a rope. And I'm like, that seems wildly inefficient. Why'd you just stab him too? But yeah, okay,
yeah.
whatever.
But you would think these guys would have some kind of projectile weapon to take out anybody that didn't get immediately decapitated.
Maybe they were
While
just so
they're
amazed that he wasn't decapitated that they just knocked him off his bike and he just immediately stood up coughing. They're like, what?
yeah.
So then you break into a camp which had an interesting stealth sequence where he planted a bear trap in the bushes somewhere, walked to the other side of the room, chucked a rock over by it, and the person goes investigating the sound and gets caught in the bear trap. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a fun sequence there, and then he goes further in and finds this other camp that's guarded by these walls, and I forget where he got the explosives, but he blew
He
up
just
the wall.
had it with him, I guess.
Yeah, but he blew up the wall, which let in like
The zombie
200
horde, right?
zombies, and
Runner
which
zombies.
yeah, which killed everybody in the camp except
Hmm.
for the two people that were up on a high platform, which was the guy he was looking for, and I guess the leader of the people he just slaughtered with zombies.
Yeah.
Um, so
So he saves his buddy, and then a giant bear comes in, and this bear looks like it's had a bad day because it's like tangled in a barbed wire fence. It's like, ah, I'm so angry. So
yeah,
we've got more angry bears to deal with this year.
yeah.
I don't know. It could be an all right
looks
game.
yeah, it looks like The Walking Dead, and
Yeah,
it looks like
I
it could be
suppose.
fun. So yeah, but I'm not too big into zombie games, so I
Big Safe, it's
probably won't be
called
getting it.
Days Gone. Is that game?
Yeah. Yeah, Days
But
Gone.
now we're done talking about Days Gone. Now we talk about Monster Hunter
Monster
World,
Hunter World. Yeah, this
which
is.
which I pretty much immediately recognized because I'm like, that's a great sword on his back. I'm like, that's totally a great sword.
Yeah,
I loved this trailer. I thought it was because I'm a Monster Hunter fan, and it shows a lot of. It really looks like this is a true evolution of Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter, much as I love it, all the games are pretty much exactly the same. Now they'll
yeah,
add a couple of weapons and they'll add a couple mechanics like climbing on walls or mounting the dinosaurs and stuff and stabbing them in the back of the head. But all the games are mechanically very, very similar. This
Mhm.
one is the first one that really looks to be changing things up. Might not work, might be so radically different that it's just no longer Monster Hunter and it doesn't work. But man, if this works, oh boy, this
Yeah,
could be seriously awesome. So I am
yeah. It
super excited to learn more about Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, and I liked it, and they like had some gameplay footage after after the conference, and people at games journalists got to
Hmm.
experience some of it, and they talked about how you can um, use the landscape to your advantage. Like you can
Yeah, it feels
entangle
like
the
there's
monsters
more
in
actual
vines
monster
and
hunting in Monster Hunter, which is something I've advocated for a while at the same time not totally being sure if that wouldn't just kind of kill the kind of game it is. Because it's just an
yeah,
action game. You go and you beat a monster in the head with a stick until it dies. That's the game. If
yeah,
you actually
and
had to track its footprints and stuff, that would really change the game
yeah,
and
because that's what they're
maybe
talking about.
not
It's
for the
like you
better.
gotta track it, and there's like some kind of firefly mechanic that as you're it's kind of a hot and cold type thing.
Yeah.
The fireflies get brighter and stuff as you're actually following the right trail, and it's and they talked about how it's like you engage the monster at first, and then it gets away from you and you have to regroup or whatever, and then get back on the monster's trail, and so it's not like a normal game where once you find the monster you fight it until it's dead.
Well,
You've
in
got
Monster
to.
Hunter, they will fly or dig into the ground and kind of tremors away, or just run into a new zone.
Yeah,
Sometimes they have their own little like small caves that you can't follow them through, and you have to know where that cave actually lets out. So
yeah.
sometimes they do run away in the other games, but yeah, this is oh, he's going to Zone 6. So yeah, I'm really interested to learn more about this one.
Yeah,
Um,
it's early coming out early 2018, so we don't know an
mhm.
exact release date. But again, this might be a game that I'll pick up. But again, Monster Hunter. One of the things that has turned me off in the past is that again, there's no local co-op. Monster Hunter for
Yeah.
the Wii, I believe it was only arena battles that you could
Right,
do
but
that
Monster
were
Hunter
local
Double
co-op.
Cross will actually be able to be played locally with the
Yeah.
Switch and the Switch tablet and the 3DSs. So you will be able to actually do local multiplayer with
Yeah, but you have to have
Double
multiple
Cross. You
consoles,
do,
and
yes,
that's an issue for me too. And it's
yeah.
like I would love to just have four players, split screen four player, and just play with each other and beat up a
Mhm.
monster together.
Yeah, yeah, it could
That would
work.
be something I would like, but
Yeah.
doesn't look like I'm ever going to get that wish though.
Yeah, a couple of folks in the comments commenting on the fact that Monster Hunter World is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC, not the Switch, which,
Yeah,
looking at the level of presentation they're going for, should not be surprising at all.
yeah,
The Switch can't run the game. Sorry.
yeah.
But also, as Gas Can on Fire, again, I love that name, is pointing out, Capcom is being really cagey on whether Monster Hunter Double Cross is actually going to be coming out west. It's
Hmm.
definitely coming out in the Switch and 3DS in Japan, but it had people are like, okay, so Western release. And they said, oh, we're not talking about that. And then someone else from Capcom said there's no Western release. And then another person from Capcom said, no, 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 we just haven't announced one either way. So it's like, this is E3. This is when you announce it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it kind of feels like they announced Double Cross for Switch before E3, so it didn't get buried by Monster Hunter World, as talked about at the beginning of the show. And I
Yeah.
agree with that, but you know, and Matthew actually asked me on Twitter what I thought the odds were that if Capcom decides not to release it in the West, will Nintendo take on publishing duties and release it in the West themselves? And I think there's a if Capcom doesn't. Um, I think it's fairly likely that Nintendo will, because I think Nintendo's really trying to go whole hog to get as many great games and as many diverse, uh, different types of games on their platform as they possibly can. And Monster Hunter, even if it's not the big Monster Hunter World one, um, well, uh, if they're smart, if Monster Hunter World is, and I have all the answers here, so if they're smart and do what I say, um, if
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World is really truly different from what we've been playing for the last decade, what we know as Monster Hunter, one angle Nintendo could go for, since Double Cross is not on the PS4 or the Xbox One or PC, is, this is Monster Hunter Classic. Yeah, there's the new, completely different one, but this is the classic Monster Hunter that you know and love. That's an angle that they might be able to successfully exploit
Yeah.
uh, within the right circumstances. So
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance, whether Capcom or Nintendo publishes, I think it's a pretty likely that Double Cross will show up in the West,
Yeah. Lyrically CS, why not just buy the Japanese version?
because it's not in English.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
but
thing.
you,
You know,
but
the
you
hardcore, the
totally could.
hardcore fans,
Yeah.
the hardcore fans would likely do that. And since the
Yeah.
Switch is region free, they can. But if Nintendo wants to sell more than 1,000, 5,000 copies of this in the US, then they need to localize it in English.
Yeah, there is almost no story, so there's not a lot of character dialogue to worry about. But Monster Hunter is a very menu-driven game. Now,
yeah,
even if it's in a different language, everything has an icon, so you can get used to it after a while. But
you're going to be stumbling and trying as you
you're
figure
going to need to
out
go to
what the
GameFAQs or
menus are.
somewhere to have a translation guide open with you at all times to figure out, it's like, okay, which of these great swords is the new one? What? Wait, where? Which stat
Yeah,
is strength? Which stat is defense? It's very menu heavy, so not as friendly a non-translated game as some others might be.
yeah,
But anyway, Monster Hunter is great. One thing about last point about Monster Hunter World is hopefully whatever other changes they make, it's a game that's easier to get into, because we've talked about this on the show in the past. Monster Hunter is typically a game that's like, you have to, if you want to try it, give it a day, like an entire afternoon. It takes a good 5 hours to get going, because you start out just
yeah.
mining resources so that you're not fighting a T-Rex in your underwear, which is actually pretty fun anyway. But
Yeah.
so we'll see. All right, next thing on Sony's show, a remake, a full actual remake of
Shadow
Shadow
of
of the
Colossus.
Colossus.
Yeah.
I actually, and it's sitting right here. I actually have the remasters that were done for the PS3 for Ico, whatever it's called, and
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus. I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus yet, so I may actually play a bit of that, and if I really like it, uh, get the remake just for the betterness of it. But it's a handsome remake.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's a game that I again is another game that I keep meaning to play and never getting around to it, and so yeah, I'm uh yeah, I'm like, well, I could find the remasters are pretty easy to find. Even the original is easy to find,
yeah,
relatively easy to find, and so it's like, or I could just wait until I get a PS4 and put Shadow of Colossus down as one of those games that I'm going to buy early on, because yeah, I think it would look great on the PS4. So
yeah.
you know.
I think Shadow of the Colossus remake will have an extra Colossus to fight, and
Oh,
it
they
will
better have some
and it
extra
will be Trico
guys.
from what the hell's the name of the game? Last Guardian, and you'll have to climb up Trico and stab it in the head. I know you love the bird dog cat thing, but you're gonna have to climb up it and stab it in the head
Yeah.
because it's mean. All right. Next we have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is doing the full Mortal Kombat Injustice story mode thing. It looks like so.
Yeah.
That's cool because I really like the Mortal Kombat and Injustice story modes. I think that's a great way to tie tournament fighters together.
Yeah, because I've got Marvel versus Capcom 3. I forget exactly which version I've got, but yeah, the story mode is really lame. It's just one of those, here's a bunch of battles with some banter in between, and then the end fight is Galactus, which doesn't play as well as you would want it to play in a fighting game. Because all it is, you got Galactus's big face that you punch, and then every once in a while he'll take his big hand and slap you around with it, and it's just very lame in battle. And so I'm really excited for Sigma Ultron because that's just a cool premise.
But I have to admit the way they did Phoenix Wright for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was absolute genius.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a joke character or not. So good. I love the way Phoenix Wright plays in that game. Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
So,
yeah. Back to basics, Call of Duty.
Activision said flat out no Switch version, so not surprising. There's a VR version of Skyrim, which looks like Skyrim, and you battle stuff in first person, so okay. VR game called Star Child, which is seems to be a 2.5D side scroller, which I don't really understand why you would want to do that in VR, but okay. But one thing I did notice is at the end of the trailer, there's this giant robot that like picks her up, and the robot totally looks like that Chic Razor mascot guy.
Yeah, I remember that, and I'm just like, that doesn't look right. I just think it didn't look good at all. No. Let's see, and then the Inpatient, which actually, the Inpatient just seemed very interesting.
It reminds me of that other one from what is it, Microsoft or Ubisoft? It was Ubisoft, wasn't it? Transference. Yeah, Transference. Yeah. This one was a little bit more clear. It's like you wander around spooky asylum, I guess. They didn't really show anything, but
they didn't show anything. But it's like you're a patient, and it seems like there wasn't a whole lot to go on, and they didn't show much gameplay. It was just some interaction with the doctors and the staff, and that was about it. And my fear is that this is going to devolve into a survival horror, and that's just going to completely turn me off of ever caring about this game, because when they take something like that and then they devolve it into a survival horror, no. I like it when they take like interesting new premises. Yeah.
At least Transference, no idea what it's doing, but it sounds like they might be trying to do something new. This one looks like it might just be it's a haunted asylum and you wander around and jump scares. Really impossible to tell from the trailer, but that's
just So, and then Final Fantasy 15 Fishing, Monster of the Deep.
Monster of the Deep, yeah. What do you do? What VR game do you want for Final Fantasy 15? Go on a camping trip.
and fish. And I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
this looks
didn't
like
expect
fun.
that. It looks pretty cool.
Go fishing and catch. But go fishing and catch monster fish. Yeah. That is cool. I want to play it.
But can you catch a Hylian loach? I got a Hylian loach.
Can you catch Emerald Weapon? That's my question.
There you go.
Will you get Emerald Weapon? One of the craziest Final Fantasy VII optional bosses. But yeah,
Yeah.
you've
There's
got
also a scene
like
where you're like,
10 minutes to beat this thing, and or you die instantly, and it was
yeah.
just like crazy. But
Gas Can of Fire points out that they are localizing Monster Hunter stories. That is true. Monster Hunter
yeah,
stories, the cartoony, almost Pokemon-esque one
yeah.
that is being localized for the West.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, hmm.
13 or Lyrically C says the hate for Marvel versus Capcom Infinite because of the change of the art style. Yep, I will
Okay.
agree that they don't look as good as some of the characters don't look as good as they
Some
did in
of
the
them do look
past.
off. Some of them I
Yeah.
like. Some of them do look off. I
Yeah, because
agree.
they've done some comparisons, like Chun-Li and Devil May Cry guy, forget his name.
Dante.
Dante, yeah, they've done some comparisons between those two, and yeah, they do look a little off and not
They just
quite
look
who they are.
off. you know,
Yeah, and
like
then
someone tried to draw Chun Li and just didn't quite get it right. And it
yeah,
doesn't seem like, oh, it's just Chun Li in a different style. No, she just looks wrong,
yeah, and same
just
thing with
slightly off.
Dante.
I actually
Yeah,
like Captain Marvel. I think the design for her is
yeah,
pretty
she
cool.
looks
But
good.
yeah, some I like, some I don't.
After watching Guardians of the Galaxy, the
Hmm.
movie,
Hmm.
the original take on Gamora just doesn't seem right to me, because that's what they're doing in this, is like the actual comics accurate
Yeah.
look for Gamora, and it just doesn't look right to me anymore. And because Zoe Saldana just nails it as Gamora for me, and that's the style that I recognize as being Gamora
The
now.
thing that weirds me out is when they do the comic book style Gamora, but with the character from the movie.
Yeah,
Like if it's the character from the movie, it should look like the character from the movie. It's always weird to me when they're going for the original comic design but using the new way the character acts in the movies. But oh well.
yeah,
So another VR game is Bravo Team, which is a military first-person shooter. Which
okay.
okay, whatever. Then there's Moss, I think it was called, a 3D cartoon
Yeah,
mouse
yeah.
adventure
Moss is the
thing.
name of the game, and Polyarch is the name of the developer. When it just showed Polyarch, and then they have this little pipe character next to Polyarch, and I still don't know if that's actually part of the name or what,
Yeah.
but it's like, it just says Polyarch, and then they go into the game, and I'm like, okay, is the game called Polyarch? And then at the end of the trailer, they throw the name up, Moss, and I'm just like, what was the whole Polyarch thing? Was that a totally different game? And it just
Yeah.
confused the crap out of me.
It seems like another 3D adventure platformer, or
Yeah,
third
where
person
where
3D
you
adventure platformer with combat, and I'm like, why would you do that in VR though? I don't get it. I mean, maybe it works just fine, but
yeah,
okay. Then another trailer for God of War,
yeah.
and I like the fact that the World Serpent, uh, Kratos chucks his axe in the drink, and the World Serpent picks it up and spits it back out at him, and wants to help him. I'm like, "Aw, World Serpent is nice."
Yep.
Look, I don't know, it looks fine.
Yeah, I
Certainly,
have never had any interest in playing God of War, and I probably won't play this one either. But it looks good,
yeah. I mean, I'll probably play it at some point because you can buy like a collection of 5 of the games for $20, and it's like, oh, all right, maybe one of
Yeah,
those ones that I buy and it sits on my shelf forever and never gets played. Well, we saw some more Quantic Dreams, Detroit Become Human, and they just show different stuff every single time they show this
yeah.
game.
This was like last year they showed
The
um,
detective guy.
detective guy trying to talk a suicide jumper off the roof,
And
and
not drag some little girl with him, I think it
yeah,
was.
yeah. I think there was like some little
Yeah,
kid there.
a hostage, yeah.
Yeah, and then this year it was uh, basically the Caesar of robots,
There you
like
go.
Caesar the ape of robots, and liberating all the robots. And my thought throughout this whole thing was, okay, if Marcus is reprogramming the robots to think for themselves, are they actually
Really
thinking
thinking for
for
themselves, yeah.
themselves? Yeah, yeah, that was
It,
my
it gives
entire.
off that. I don't know if that's really what's happening, but it does kind of give off that impression.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I like adventure games. What I don't really care for is choose your own adventure where every choice works, which is the problem I have with a lot of Telltale games. Whatever choice you
yeah.
make in the game, fine.
The story continues on. Yeah,
Story
because
continues.
that was one of the
And it's the
cool
problem
things
with
about.
Quantum Dream too. Is it's like fail every
Yeah,
quick time event. It doesn't matter. Very few of them actually kill you or end the game.
yeah, because
So
that
I
was
don't
one of
like
the
it when my choices
fun things
just
about.
genuinely don't matter. There's no wrong
Yeah,
choice, and that bothers me that there's no wrong
yeah, because
choice.
yeah, but I loved Choose Your Own Adventure books growing
Hmm.
up, and it was always fun. You get to a page and you have like two or three choices there. So you stick your finger in that page, and then you go to the one that you want to do, and if
Yeah.
you die, then that was cool. So you just go back and pick the other choice. But yeah, it's just it was always fun because there were all these choices where you could end up dying, and the book ends like 20 pages
Yeah.
in, and it's
And
like
I don't mind getting, for instance, like the cop sequence from last year. I don't mind if it's a there's no real way to lose, but there are ways to do it better. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, sure, both the bad guy and the little girl fell off the roof and died. Um, and the story will move on. But if you want to go back and play and do that better, like be super cop, it's like I saved the bad guy and the hostage and everything and solved the murder and found all the evidence and you did it correctly. You did it as well as you possibly could. That I like. You
yeah,
know, it's like Tenchu games or stealthy games like Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. You can complete the level in any way you want, but there are better ways to complete it than other ways. Like when you do, or Hitman, when you get the silent assassin rating, yeah, you can beat it however the heck you want. But when you get silent assassin rating, you're like, yeah, I did that the best. But in a lot of Quantic Dream and Telltale games, it's like there's no best way to do anything. It's just you've got 3 or 4 or 8 choices, whatever. Pick one. It's fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The story
the
continues
story will
regardless,
move on. Yeah,
which makes it just boring to me. So, eh.
yeah,
So let's see. Next was Destiny 2. And I don't care about
okay,
Destiny 2.
yeah,
So, whatever. Then Spider-Man, which I still hate the costume, but
yeah.
I
The,
don't know what they're thinking with that costume.
okay, the only thing that I really hate about the costume
Hmm.
is the stupid white spider.
Well, yes, yes,
Yeah,
but it's
that
so
that's
prominent.
that is the most annoying part of the costume. I'm perfectly fine with the rest of it, but if the spider were black, I think I would
Yeah.
be totally fine with the costume.
And they're
But
apparently going full Arkham Asylum with the gameplay, which,
yeah, yeah, which
good choice. Don't
yeah,
mind that at all. It's a
definitely,
great choice.
definitely a good choice, and it's a Arkham Asylum, and Arkham City.
Mhm.
They did really well with that gameplay style, and I'm excited to see that Insomniac is going that way with Spider-Man because Spider-Man pretty much plays that exact same way,
Yeah,
just without all the bat gadgets. But yeah, so I think this game looks great. It's
I think it
probably
could be
going to
really
be
good.
yeah, I think it's going to
If
help.
they nail that combat, if the combat's as fun as it is in the Arkham games,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it'll be great.
yeah, I think it.
And
I think
web
it will
slinging, of
help.
course.
I think it will help uh, put a little extra life into the superhero genre
Hmm.
because that's something that we from my personal opinion, we badly need because we haven't had uh, outside of the Arkham series and
There
the
aren't a ton of
Injustice
great
series. There
superhero video
aren't.
games. It's
Yeah,
true.
there's not a lot of great ones, and Spider-Man games in particular have always been terrible. So
Yeah, well, the Spider-Man 2, I think, was pretty good, but
yeah,
um, because that one just nailed open world web slinging. It just made it feel like you were swinging
yeah.
around
Because I remember the
Spider-Man.
first one. It's like you just kind of web slung on nothing, and it's like you could go out. You could start
In the
jump
middle
off
of
of
Central
the
Park, it,
well, no, it's not even that. It's like you could jump off the Chrysler building and then just web sling above all the other buildings around you,
Is
and
there a
it's like,
flock of
what are
birds up
you?
there or something?
Yeah, you know,
Weather
you've
balloons.
got you've got the little prince's birds up there
Yeah.
keeping you going. But yeah, no, this one looks good. I definitely want to give it a try, and hopefully it lives up to the comparisons to Arkham Asylum, or
Yeah.
yeah, Arkham Asylum. So
Two minor critiques, nitpicky things. One is there are a lot of scenes where Spidey goes into the next gameplay sequence, the room where the bad guys is, and he's sticking to the wall or standing on a crate. Like broad daylight, full view. I'm like, how do they not see him there? He's
yeah,
in red and blue in broad daylight. Batman in Arkham Asylum, you're dressed in black. It's dark. You're up in the rafters. Arkham is not well lit. It feels right. You're like, okay, I can
yeah,
see how they wouldn't see Batman up there, but there are so many shots in the Spider-Man trailer where I'm like, it is impossible that these guys cannot see him right there. It's
yeah,
uh the other critique I have is there is very little quipping. This is one of the least
yes,
quippy
yes,
Spider-Mans. On the other hand, maybe that's for the best because if he was constantly running his mouth and then the dialogue started repeating, it would get really annoying. So
well,
that's a
I
tough
think
balance to pull off, but
well, if there's set sequences, like set battles that you have to go through, or at least you know it, you know checkpoint style battles, like this is an area that we know we're trying to funnel you here. It's
mhm,
like, just ignore all the quipping on the little side battles that you're taking, the one-offs that you're going against. But when you get to that story battle, yeah, there should be some quips in there.
yeah,
And yeah, there was just very little of that. He told a couple of
there are a
jokes,
couple,
but
but
it was mostly in like the cutscene style things where he's like on the phone with Wilson Fisk
yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But yeah, very little quipping while he's battling, and very disappointing in that aspect. And
Uh, Matthew says too many QTEs. Possibly, yeah, but
yeah,
again, as long as the web slinging is fun and swinging is fun and the combat is fine, I think the end of the sequence QTE thing to do really big stuff, it works fine.
yeah,
Really, the only critique I have about that is the QTE prompts were so damn small I couldn't tell what they were.
yeah.
The little button plops up. I'm like, I have no idea what button that is. It's so small.
Yeah, and then something just to note, later on, Insomniac confirmed that Spider-Man will not let anybody die in this game. Like you saw in one of the battles where like
We kicks
he
the dude off
flings
the roof.
someone, yeah, he flings
I
someone
was
off
like,
the roof
oh dear.
just as yeah, just as the guy starts to arc downward, Spider-Man webs snatches him with some web and pulls him
And
back on
pulls
the
him
roof.
back up. Yeah.
Uh, he does that throughout there, and they said that they took great care in programming the artificial intelligence and stuff to account for all of that, and make sure that Spider-Man does not let anybody die. And it's
That's
like,
that's cool. I like that.
yeah, it is very cool. And it's like, they also use the sequence where the helicopter is dragging that shipping container
Yeah.
or air conditioner or whatever it was, and it's like, Spider-Man will, you'll be forced to have to go and take care of the rubble before you can continue chasing the helicopter.
But I wonder if you
Uh,
fail, like if you accidentally don't catch someone falling off a roof, do you just have to restart at a checkpoint or
No,
something?
I
Or
think what they said is that kind of stuff there is no failing on, or something along those
Hmm,
lines. But yeah, I'm not
come
100%
on,
sure. But
video
yeah,
games. It's okay to let us fail now and then.
yeah. But the idea is that Spider-Man is not the type of superhero to let any innocent person or any
Well,
person
right.
in general die. Whether directly at his hands or through his inactions, so he takes great care of making sure that nobody dies on his watch.
Yeah.
So,
But I think it would be okay if you accidentally drop someone off a building or someone got pasted with the shipping container. It'd be like, nope, back to the checkpoint with you until you get that right. Spidey don't kill.
yeah.
So. So we'll see.
And then they had a little tease at the end with Miles Morales, and they have not confirmed whether he's going to be a playable character or not. So yeah, they just thought that would be a cool thing to end the show on. So
Yeah. So, okay, moving on to Nintendo, which I know everyone's been waiting for. Yeah. Well, I did a
yeah,
reaction
you
video
sat
to,
2 hours with us talking about everybody else just so you could get to Nintendo.
and then our award ceremony, I
Yeah,
suppose. So, let's see. We had a trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
and
Um,
yeah, and I'm right there with you. These guys just don't know what boobs look like.
oh my
Um,
God. Google boobs, Monolith Soft. I said it on Twitter or in the reaction video. I said one of these days they're gonna Google breasts and they're gonna Google image search it and they'll be like, oh, so that's what they look. We've been doing it wrong all this time.
yeah,
Oh man. Oh God, the costumes in this game are so terrible.
yeah.
Now I don't. If the
But this
other
is
games are
pure
any indication, you'll be
JRPG.
able to change your
Yeah,
costumes at will. So I'm not that worried
yeah,
about it. But oh my god, the default costumes are so terrible. Also,
yeah.
looking at the Treehouse Live demo of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, oh, this game is not ready yet.
It's
Monolith
not.
Soft, I know you've been saying 2017. No one believed you. You're still saying 2017. Take your
No
time
one's
because
believed.
it's not ready yet. Oh
Yeah,
man. Oh man, is this game not ready yet?
yeah,
Um, I mean, it genuinely looks like they have placeholder animations still in there. I don't know if this was an extraordinarily old build, but I mean, they were running under the characters were running under a canopy, and the shadows were drawing in like 2 feet in front of the characters as they were running. Uh, tall grass does the same thing where it draws
mhm,
in like literally 2 feet in front of your characters. So the tall grass really only fills in between the foreground camera and your character, and then about 2 feet in front of your camera, front of your character. So when you're running around, there's this wall of detail that happens. That's really, really, really distracting. Uh,
yeah,
the animation on the characters is just bad. I mean, bad to the point where it looks like it's placeholder. I mean, the characters just kind of cycle through slashing. The enemies that you're fighting pretty much don't do anything. They just kind of hop back and forth. They don't have complicated turning around and slashing and swinging their tails and throwing punches. They just kind of jiggle. It's
mhm,
the game still looks like it's a year out. I mean, it's looks really technically bad. Also, it's really weird because the conceit of the game is your characters are couples. Your character is a driver, and your other character is a blade. And what that means is, I guess they kind of power your weapon. So you're standing there smacking a monster on the head with a stick, and your blade character stands behind you, kind of shooting an energy beam at you that powers your weapon. And all of the characters in your party have that blade character behind them that they don't seem to do anything in the battle other than kind of fire a little laser beam at you that charges your
yeah,
weapon. I'm thinking, well, if you're starved for, why not get rid of the blade characters or have them transform into your weapon or something like that? That halves the number of characters on the screen, and you can put more resources into drawing the foliage out another foot or something, you know? Um, it Oh man, I am really concerned about this game because it really
yeah,
does not look good. The combat
yeah,
looks really stiff and boring, and there's a lot of just really clumsy technical stuff going on in the open world. So, ooh, worried about this one. But I mean, Monolith Soft has a great track record. The Xenoblade games are a wonderful pedigree. So, here's hoping. But wow, was the Treehouse Live demo that was struggling.
yeah. Hopefully it improves greatly, and yeah, I'm there with you. They probably need to give it at least another 6 months after their projected release date because
Yeah, I'm thinking
it
that one's
needs it.
getting delayed. That
So
does not look ready. So
Yeah.
moving on. I mean, I'm excited for more Xenoblade, but this just doesn't look ready yet. I'm not saying the game's going to suck,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't look done yet. Moving on, we had
Kirby, and Kirby is
just
back to
Kirby,
form. It is we had Kirby's Epic Yarn, and then what was the other Kirby?
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse.
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. And it's like both of those totally different art style, totally different play style than
Mhm.
what you normally get
Yeah,
from
this
Kirby.
is like
And this is
Kirby Return to
classic
Dreamland is
Kirby.
classic
Yeah.
Kirby. Yeah. Only
And
you have
which
more characters on the screen, which they actually also did
yeah,
in Return to Dreamland. So
yeah, so it looks like it's going to be an actual four-player co-op Kirby adventure, which I think is cool.
yeah,
You know,
I'm a
that
little
was one
weirded
of
out
the
that the title I thought was just Kirby. It's like no Kirby and the something, not even just Project Kirby, just Kirby. Like
yeah. Yeah,
okay,
Nintendo's not very original with their placeholder titles, I guess. But yeah, one of the fun things, Kirby's Epic Yarn, I liked playing the two-player co-op because my kids they love the game, and I like playing it with them, even though it does frustrate me when they sit there and run into every single spike, drop off every single cliff, and we lose all of our beads. But
my
it's
children are
still
new.
fun to play with them. So but yeah, I think this will be a fun game. Definitely a you know whenever I get a Switch, whenever this comes out, I guess in 28 this comes out in 2018. So I'm I don't know when I'm actually going to pick up a Switch, but if I don't pick it up before this game comes out, then this will probably be a day one purchase for me if it's
Yeah.
out when I do. So
So then Pokemon Company guy came out and told us things we already knew. Pokken
yeah,
Tournament DX, and they're working on a mainline Pokemon game for the
yeah,
Switch, but it's not going to be out for a year or two. So
yeah, no information about it whatsoever. It's just
yeah,
we're making
just
an
we're making
inline
one.
RPG. Yeah, we're making one, and Pokemon fans are rejoicing, but there's just nothing to get hyped about right now. Nothing, other than yay, they're doing something we've been asking for years now.
And Michaela Cornejo in the chat says hey. So hey,
Hey,
and hey to anyone else in the chat who said hey. Then we got our first look at Metroid Prime 4.
and it's the
Title
title
card.
title card. Yeah, but seriously, yeah,
No release date, nothing, just a title card.
honestly,
No
this was
concept art, no pre-rendered CG trailer with a
yeah.
bunch of F-bombs, just a title card.
Can you imagine Samus running around dropping the F bomb? But no,
Ice beam, motherfucker! It's like, whoa! It's like, wait, what?
but yeah, this was
Ridley's like, whoa, Samus, what? Did you here have a Snickers? You know?
but yeah, this was a literal holy crap moment for me because I'm just kind of casually watching the show, and then all of a sudden I hear that familiar music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, seriously, Metroid? What? And I'm like, oh, cool, they're making a Metroid game. And then they drop a 4 on there. I'm like, Metroid Prime 4? Seriously? And I'm like, this is awesome. And then they don't show any gameplay whatsoever. And I'm like, oh, man, come on,
And as
way to
Matthew's
tease me.
pointing out in the chat, Retro Studios is not
Yeah,
working on this
Retro is
one.
not
So
making it.
who
So
knows what Retro
better be
Studios
working on
is
something
actually
good.
doing? We don't know what it's
Don't
doing.
know. Yeah.
I've still got my fingers crossed for something original.
Yeah. But yeah, Metroid Prime 4, totally awesome. And then did they announce the other Metroid game right after that, or was that
No, that was announced on Treehouse Live.
okay?
We can talk about it
Okay,
now
yeah,
though, but on a Treehouse
yeah.
Live they
Let's go ahead
announced
and
a second Metroid title for the 3DS, uh, Metroid Samus Returns, which is a
which is a
remake in the vein of Metroid Zero Mission, as in like a full redo, reimagining even of Metroid 2 Return of Samus for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, yeah, I mean that game it's good, but it's kind of hampered by being on the Game Boy. They could only what they did was great, but
it was to me it's a solid entry in the Metroid series, and it's way better than the original Metroid, and it's my I guess it's still, I like it. It's probably not my top, well, it's definitely not my top favorite Metroid game, but it's up there
Yeah,
just because it did a lot different than what you would expect from based off of the original Metroid game. But Super Metroid, Metroid Prime, those games really knocked it out of the park for
yeah.
what to
Trilink says,
expect.
I don't believe they should announce they're working on a Pokemon or Metroid Prime 4 without any actual footage to show. I think Nintendo was just deathly afraid of fan backlash if they didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah. After the Metroid Prime Federation Force
Yeah.
fiasco, they knew that they better drop something Metroid this year because even without having any gameplay to show, but they did have gameplay to show of the Samus Returns or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
They did have that to
Oh,
show
the
off
full
gameplay,
demo.
and
In fact,
yeah,
they did it
and it
twice.
looks great.
Looks great.
I
Yeah.
want to play it. But yeah, it's but Metroid Prime 4, yeah, people wanted a console Metroid game, and just adding a Prime or adding an entry into the Prime series is a great choice, I think. So
Yeah. So, one thing I want to say about Metroid, the 3DS game, is I am so impressed with Samus's animations in that game, um,
Mhm.
because she has a full 360 aiming ability with her arm cannon. It's not just straight up and
Straight
at an
up
angle.
an angle,
She
yeah.
full 360. And they managed to not make it look goofy. In fact, all of her poses are really cool because she'll be out like this, and then she'll go up, but then she'll like turn around rather than her arm just kind of rotating
Yeah.
behind her. They have and
Yeah.
she'll have these like poses where she's shooting downward. The posing on it is incredibly good. If you've played
Yeah.
Skyward Sword, Zelda Skyward Sword, it's the one with the Wii Motion Plus motion
Yeah.
control. I'm sorry, Link looks like a goofball running around with his arm held up like this and constantly doing this. It looks so weird. Um, this one, the whole 360, I never saw a pose that looked awkward. Even if she's standing, if she's crouching, if she's hanging from a ledge, all of her poses in the entire range of her aiming look great. So
Mhm.
kudos to the developers for just impeccable pose choices for
Yeah,
Samus there.
definitely.
Um, Game looks like a lot of fun. I'm hoping that they do, and they've hinted that they're going to do Zero Mission, which was the reimagining of the original Metroid, had a whole extended sequence on the end where Samus is running around in her Zero suit. They'll probably, I'm pretty sure, and they kind of hinted at this, that they'll do something similar for this 3DS Metroid. Um, I really don't want to play it on the 3DS, but I'm gonna anyway.
Yeah.
I would so much rather play it on my TV, but it looks pretty
Well,
cool. So.
they are updating the only, well, I guess not the only, but the original handheld Metroid. So it's only fitting to have it on the current handheld console, I think. But
Yeah. So all right.
moving on,
Metroid Prime 4. Okay, Yoshi was next. Not Yoshi and the anything, just like
it's
Kirby,
just
just
Yoshi,
Yoshi.
and to be honest, this Yoshi is not doing it for me the same as Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah, I mentioned this in my reaction video, but it's undeniably pretty. I mean, man, are they? Oh, I absolutely love that handcraft aesthetic. Love it, love it, love it. This game looks dull. It looks
Yeah,
really slow and dull.
the
Came off
music
a lot better in
plays
the Treehouse Live segment, but mainly because I just loved all the attention to detail and looking in the background and seeing that things are made of paper plates and cups and
yeah,
um,
toilet paper rolls
yeah,
and
oh, it's so great. I love that aesthetic, but the gameplay looks kind of dull and
yeah,
boring.
and like I said, the music choice didn't help anything either. The
Yeah,
music was just kind of there and slow, and it didn't really help you to get into any of the action, and it just kind of made you
bad
feel like
trailer, I think.
Yoshi was just wandering around and throwing eggs, and it's
Yeah,
just
it's weird, right? Because if you look back at trailers for Yoshi's Woolly World or Kirby Epic Yarn or any of the Kirby games, not the Kirby one from this year so much, but Kirby Return to Dreamland, go back and look at those trailers. There's always these big epic moments where you're like, whoa, that looks amazing. There's nothing like that in the Yoshi trailer. It's just
yeah.
kind of dull. And it actually
Hmm.
played a little bit better on the, as I mentioned, on the Treehouse Live. It's like, okay, this might be just a very casual kick back and enjoy kind of game, but it still looks just a little on the dull side. And as
Yeah.
Gascan is pointing out, it's made in Unreal Engine 4, so that's
Interesting.
neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
all right, moving on. Fire Emblem Warriors, which I love Hyrule Warriors, but I think I love it because it's Zelda stuff. I don't know if I'd really be into the Warriors, the Muso games, unless it has a property I really care about attached to it.
Yeah.
And I don't care about Fire
Yeah.
Emblem,
I
so this
don't.
doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Fire Emblem, so yeah, I tried to play the Fire Emblem Heroes or whatever it is, the mobile game, and
Mhm.
once it told me that it needed to download 300 megabytes of data, I was just like, yeah, I'm done.
Um,
So, but
this is another one where I watched the Treehouse Live segment and it looks really rough. And I'm wondering if it's earlier or if it's because it's held back by the fact that it's also a 3D, there's a 3DS version. Um, and my experience with the Muso games is only Hyrule Warriors, but in that game, when you smack a enemies just kind of warp in,
mhm.
but they when you smack a line of enemies and they fall down and disappear, they don't immediately just fade right back into existence. You'll if the area you're in is still controlled by the enemy, they'll like laser like aliens are zapping them in or something. So it doesn't look weird. In Hyrule Warrior, I'm sorry, in Fire Emblem Warriors, you just knock down a row of bad guys and they just repopulate. Like it's weird because it's like, what is the point of hitting anybody if they just kind of reappear again?
Mhm.
Um, the animations are some of them are sticking. There was one event that was not timed correctly. They beat a bad guy, which apparently is supposed to open a door, and they stood in front of that door for like 10 seconds before it actually unlocked. Um, not sure if there was something else going on there, but it looked like a mistimed event trigger. Um,
Probably.
also, it's really weird that the with the Zelda version, you had all kinds of characters that had really different weapons. You had Link with the sword, but you had another character who had the Wind Waker wand. You had another character who had bow and arrow. You had one with a ball and chain. You had uh, one with the girl, the magic-y thing. You had all this huge variety of weapons. In Fire Emblem, you've got swords and more swords. Sometimes lances, which are just kind of like longer swords. The weapon variety just doesn't seem as interesting. So unless you're really big on Fire Emblem and the lore and the story and the characters, not a game that's really appealing to me. Also, just judging from the treehouse footage, really rough looking.
Yeah.
There was just it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. Again, it looks like it's either held back by the 3DS version or it's just a bit early yet. Because some of the animations were wonky. The enemy
Yeah.
character stuff was with the pop in was weird. Um, the HUD looks bland in beta 2 says mixtape. Yeah. Um, D, 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 D. So, yeah, I'm a little worried about that one. Another thing I want to point out about Treehouse Live this year is that was really weird is they had three segments: Fire Emblem Warriors, uh, Zelda DLC Pack One, and Samus Metroid Samus Returns that were repeats. They did the exact same segment twice.
Hmm.
Like they now, if they had screwed up, like if a huge technical problem had happened the first time, they're like, all right, let's redo that segment. That would make sense. But they just did the same thing. Now, they had Mario Odyssey segments on there three times, but each time they did something different, showed a new
Yeah.
area, focused on different things. These were just the exact same segments. They just played through the demo again. I'm like, what's the point? You're archiving it on your own website. There's no need to do it twice. Just a weird thing. So that told me that Nintendo just didn't have a lot of things to show off.
Yeah.
But whatever. So Skyrim. Next was the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild expansion pass, where we've been
They
wanting to know what DLC Pack 2 is, and now we know its name.
Yeah,
Thanks,
the
Nintendo.
Champion's Ballad, and
Yeah,
that's all. And
that's
it
it.
comes with 4 new amiibos,
Yeah,
and that's all we know.
yeah.
And that drove me nuts because I was just like, I was right there with you. I'm like, all right, we get to find out what this is, and they're like, here's what it is. We'll tell you what it is later. It's like, what?
Why not now? Now is like the time to tell us about. I mean, you already blew out what DLC Pack 1 was a month ago. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you
And then they
haven't
go
watched
through
that
DLC
direct
Pack 1 in the tree house,
yeah,
and it's like they
boy.
do they did the Trial of the Sword. Like somebody played through
Yeah.
a bunch of the Trial of the Sword, and it's just like, it would have been really cool if you showed us part of expansion 2 during that.
Yeah, like this would be the time to do it. Since everyone already bought it
Yeah.
anyway, you may as well tell them what it is. I mean, there are two types of people. People who bought it already and people who are waiting to see what the hell DLC pack is 2 is before they buy it. So this is the time to show it off, you know?
Yeah.
We want to know more than the title.
Yeah.
Art. I mean, and it was a terrible trailer because it didn't explain what DLC Pack 1 was. If you had not seen the previous
Yeah,
direct that explained
exactly.
DLC, you would have no idea what any of that stuff was. Terrible, terrible
Yeah.
trailer. Bad Nintendo. So,
Yeah, terrible. And I'm right. Yeah, it's yeah, they Nintendo has done a terrible job of showing and telling us what things are, and it's
yeah.
but yeah, the characters, the amiibos look cool, but it's kind of annoying that they're going to be locking DLC content behind
Uh,
secondary purchases of amiibos.
God, damn near
And
every game has, almost every single segment there. Oh, and this game has its own special amiibo too. And we're not going to tell you what it does, but it does something. Mario Odyssey has three new amiibo. They look great. They are super cool looking. No
yeah,
idea what they do. Metroid has 2, and one is a squishy Metroid, which is awesome. It's so cool. But again, we're apparently
we have
locking content
no
behind
idea
these
what they.
damn toys. Fire Emblem Warriors has 2, I think. And again, they say they do something, but they won't tell them what they do. Also announced earlier is I think there's 3 new Splatoon 2 amiibos that do something for that game. Hey, Pikmin has an amiibo that does something for that game. So yeah, Nintendo's going hog wild on the
On
amiibo.
the amiibos, yeah.
Um, what else was there? They talked about the E3 tournaments, but I don't care.
Yeah,
Then
they at
Mario
some
plus
point they
Rabbids. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah, Mario
Oh no,
plus
I was
Rabbids.
just gonna say at some point they did those and Rocket League and FIFA
Yeah,
and
that was in
yeah, that was
the
early, yeah.
trailer at the very beginning. Yeah, they showed some stuff
Yeah.
there. They actually talk about Rocket League at the end, so we'll get that in a sec. They showed a trailer for Mario plus Rabbids, which again, bad trailer because if you weren't paying attention, if you didn't watch Ubisoft show, you would have no idea how this game plays. You would be
Yeah,
confused. You're like,
exactly.
what is this? So I think Rabbids plus Mario Kingdom Battle. Sorry, I got that backwards, but I think it looks super cool. This was just a bad trailer,
Yeah, it
especially
was.
for people, for anyone who watched Ubisoft show. Didn't give me anything new, so it was boring.
Mhm.
For anyone who didn't watch Ubisoft show,
It didn't give you anything at
really
all.
tell you anything at all. So it was
Yeah,
confusing.
it was just here's Mario, here's some rabbits. They're in a game together.
Yeah, it's like what is it? What? So anyway, the next was the Rocket League for Nintendo Switch, and cool, better late than never. And as I said in the reaction video, I was like, how cool would it be if you had like some F-Zero cars or Mario Kart carts as the cars? And then
Yeah.
they show, oh, you can put a Mario hat on your car. I'm like, oh, well, cool, I guess. And then two developers behind the game are like, they said they're gonna have different hats, so there'll probably be a Luigi hat too,
Okay.
and custom cars. And they said, but we'll tell you about them at a later date. I'm like, no,
Tell us
no,
now.
this is the time to show us. E3, show us now. dumbasses.
Even if you don't have the in-game footage, at least tell us what you have or what you
Yeah.
plan. Maybe show some concept art, and then that would be
Yeah, I
sufficient.
mean,
I
at least
think.
say, oh, you'll be able to play as the Captain Falcon's ride and a Blue Falcon or whatever it's called from
Yeah.
F-Zero. Oh, that's super cool. Or you'll be able to use this classic Mario Kart cart in the game. Oh, okay, it's something. But no, they're like, oh, we have cool stuff. We're not going to tell you what it is, though. So we have one more trailer, the Mario thing to go over, but that was why I said on Twitter that you got to do better than that, Nintendo. So while the games I think are going to be really cool, the Nintendo Spotlight presentation for me was just a face plant because it was just full of really bad trailers, not bad games, just bad trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So, but finally they showed us Super Mario Odyssey, which looks great.
Yeah.
Um, it's doing the whole Kirby thing with absorbing your enemy's powers, only you put your hat on an enemy and you can control that character. They also showed during the Treehouse that they're cribbing from the Game Boy or the 3DS Link Zelda game, where you turn into a 2D art thing and move along the wall. They do that in the
Yeah.
game too, which is super cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
Game looks great. You get to possess a
yeah.
T-Rex, and Pauline is in it. I saw a woman in a red dress on a stage. I'm like, how cool would that be if that was Pauline? Turns out that is Pauline. She is the mayor of New Donk City, and that is
Yeah.
amazing.
And then everybody online is wondering if you get to possess Pauline.
That's a good point.
But, yeah,
Uh,
but some Megan Fox, not the actress, but the game developer of Glass Bottom Games, she had mentioned that you know sh- she's expecting to see tons and tons of crap, Mario hat and mustache crap, like cupcake toppers and
no.
things like that, and then it just dawned on me that Nintendo has officially created the laziest cosplay ever, where all you have
Hat
to
and a
do is get a
mustache.
Mario hat and a Mario mustache, and you are possessed by Mario.
That's right.
And it's like you just go as yourself with a Mario hat and a mustache, and there's your cosplay. But it also makes some really cool meta cosplay where you can cosplay as somebody else possessed by Mario.
I'm just
So
wondering about the ethics of that because if I go possess one of the residents in New Donk City, and then jump off
and,
the edge, dispossess, and land back on the platform, the other person falls to their death. It's like Mario's murdering people. Um, Also, I'd
so,
like to lyrically see is pointing it out, and something I wanted to mention too. But that "One Up Girl" song, that jazz number that they have for
uh-huh.
Super Mario Odyssey. Oh man, is that fantastic! I love that song. The lyrics on the bridge are distractingly weird. Um, I think she's saying Odyssey, yesy.
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
like, what? I mean, Odyssey is a hard rhyme, but almost an impossible rhyme. But I would have gone with
Yes.
something else because it's just so distracting to me. Odyssey, yesy. I'm like, what? 'Cause it takes me right out of the song. Otherwise, I love the song. And
Yeah.
Nintendo's been kicking ass with music. I love the Splatoon music. I love the ARMS music. This song is great. Man, Nintendo's
Mhm.
just knocking music out of the park. So, Gascan says hopefully the Rocket League cars will have a Mario mustache. I'm sure they will. Um,
Yeah.
so let's see what else. Yeah, that's about it. So let us move to the E3 awards. So I guess I'll start.
All right.
And I guess we'll just move back and forth. My first award is the We Learned Nothing Award, which I'm giving to Microsoft for the Xbox One X name and price because it's an awful name that is awful in so many ways. It sounds too close to Xbox One S. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It's the
Hmm.
smaller console, even though there's the Xbox One S, which that's its thing. And it's $500, which I don't see anyone looking at a 250 Xbox One S and a $500 Xbox One X and going, the visual difference is not worth twice the price to me. So
Yeah.
I just, man, they took They did not pay attention to Nintendo's troubles with naming things, and they did not pay attention to the fact that 500 was not the price
Yeah.
point for the Xbox One
Yes,
originally. So,
Sony learned that the hard way with the PS3, and Microsoft learned it the hard way with the Xbox One, and apparently they didn't learn, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, give an award, Zachary.
All right, the next one, the Major Hype Award for the game that just totally hypes everybody up with as little information as possible. And I came up to two contenders for this one. I thought about throwing Pokemon for the Switch on there, but really there was just, yeah, I don't think the hype was there for that one as well as these other ones. But the two games that really got the internet going and hog wild were Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Metroid Prime 4. And so both of these games, it's like games that people have been wanting for years, and we get both of them in the same E3. And so it was really tough decision for me. But I finally decided that Metroid Prime 4 gets it solely because Metroid Prime 4 was just a logo, was just a title card. Beyond Good and Evil had a trailer, even though it was all
had some effort put into it.
Yeah, it had some effort put into it, but Nintendo gets it for Metroid Prime 4.
All right.
So yeah, we'll see how that works out next year. But yeah.
Okay. The Most Feels Award goes to Ubisoft for pretty much its entire conference. You could tell that Javier Manzanares was so happy to finally get to talk about a game that leaked back in October. He was so pleased. He's like, I finally get to talk about this game. And they showed, there was another creative designer, creative director, someone sitting in the audience, and he looked like he was about to tear up. Michelle Ancel was actually tearing up, finally getting to introduce Beyond Good and Evil 2. And then the conference ended with, it's everyone come up on stage, because we're all a family here and we all love each other, and Vivendi is probably going to buy us soon. So this is like the last time we'll see you all. Group hug, group hug. So Most Feels goes to Ubisoft.
All right. The next award is the award I call Milking It Award, where this is the game that the developer is just trying to milk it for all it's worth. They want every drop, every dime they can get out of this game, and that goes to Skyrim for being a 6-year-old game and getting 2 brand new releases this year for VR and for the Switch. These guys just don't know when to quit. They just want to take Skyrim. They want to get every dime they can out of it. And gosh darn it, they're going to do that before they begin work on a new Elder Scroll game. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we got some fun awards going in here, and 13U Cube says the WTF award goes to EA. Trilinks got the best award, music award for Nintendo for Super Mario Odyssey, and yeah, we're doing a more silly awards, but yeah, there's some seriously good stuff that came.
I made a much longer list. I originally had a best original music award that I gave to Nintendo for One Up Girl. Mario Odyssey. I agree with that. Yeah. But my next award is the Development Hell Award, which goes to Microsoft for a bunch of games that have been at E3 several times over. State of Decay 2 was originally announced last year at E3. Ashen was announced at E3 2015. Tacoma was announced at the Game Awards in 2014. That would be in December, so between E3 2014 and 2015. Cuphead was originally announced way back at E3 2014, and so was Crackdown. All these games are still in development and still at E3. So Development Hell Award goes to Microsoft. Well done, Microsoft.
Well done. Yes, well done. All right, my next award is the Don't Know How to Internet Award. And you would think this would go to Nintendo. But no, somebody actually won up Nintendo on not knowing how to internet. And that would be Sony for their reason for not having cross-platform play for Minecraft and Rocket League. This is what Sony had to say about this. We've got to be mindful of our responsibility to our install base. Minecraft, the demographic playing that you know as well as I do, it's all ages, but it's also very young. We have a contract with the people who go online with us, that we look after them, and they are within the PlayStation curated universe. Exposing what in many cases are children to external influences we have no ability to manage or look after, it's something we have to think about very carefully. And I read that and I looked at Sony and I said, Nintendo is doing
So funny.
cross-platform play. Nintendo, friend code Nintendo is doing cross-platform play, and you're not. Seriously, Sony, learn how to internet.
Yeah. So let me. All right. So this is an award that I am. How do I want to introduce this? Games that you watch the trailer or the presentation or whatever they decide to show, and you have no idea what the hell the game is or what genre it is or how it's played. Kind of like a Transference at the Ubisoft show, where the one that was introduced by Elijah Wood, and it's a VR game where you experience someone else's life. Is it a horror, a thriller? What do you do? How does it play? You don't know. There were several trailers like that. I'm going to call it the Sad Owl Award, and I'm going to give it to Microsoft for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, because it was a trailer that we assume it plays somewhat similarly to the first Ori game, but man, this trailer by itself tells you nothing. I mean, you can make some assumptions about Transference, but Ori and the Will of the Wisps, you got nothing.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's got really great music, and it has one sad-ass owl. So the Sad Owl Award goes to Microsoft for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And I think I'll bring that award back next year for the Sad Owl.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So my next award is all about 4K. 4K is the big thing. The PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. 4K is the thing. Everybody, we need to get 4K going. And so my award is 4K support. Why? This is for the game that why does it need 4K support? What benefit are you getting from being 4K over whatever else you could get out of this? And honestly, very few games would probably fall under this category, but the one that really seals the deal is Minecraft.
Yeah.
Why in the world what does Minecraft get out of supporting 4K? And I have no idea. And I don't think Microsoft and Mojang know either, but it's getting 4K support.
Now there are light shafts in Minecraft. Thank God Minecraft has better, more accurate shadows now. Okay, good. Now I'll play the game. All right. This award is called You Keep Using That Word. I do not think it means what you think it means. And I awarded it to Microsoft for the word exclusive. Because Microsoft keeps using that word, and I don't think it means what they think it means. Because every damn game they had was an exclusive of some sort. Well, it's exclusive to Microsoft. It's exclusive to consoles. It's exclusive. It's a timed exclusive. It comes out first exclusive. It's like, oh my god. If everything's an exclusive, nothing's an exclusive. I was trying to take notes, and I got lost about what was exclusive and how.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Somebody had a the comic or something about that. It was like Schrodinger's exclusive or something along those lines, and it's like
Arcade, maybe.
Yeah, and it's just like it's like there's so many exclusives, and it's like nothing is really exclusive until it's actually out there as an exclusive of some sort, and there's all these different categories and stuff. And TriLink Who Wore Mario's Cap Best Award goes to T-Rex. I agree with you
I
there.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah, because that was an impressive looking T-Rex.
it looks great.
Something
Yeah,
that's going to show up in a Mario game, and yeah,
I
it
am
was
so.
cool.
In the treehouse, they found it there's a section called the Deep Woods, which is a dark, spooky forest, and they found T-Rex just kind of laying on the ground snoring. I'm like, I am so gonna kick him right in the snout and run.
Yeah. All right. My next award is the Men in Suits Award, and just as the name applies, this is for the most boring and lame and non interesting conference in general goes to EA because
Oh,
everything that they did was boring,
yes.
and the name of the name of the award is based on their that whole segment with the Men in Blazers or whatever that was
Yeah, there's
called.
Men in
And
Blazers.
yeah, but I went with Men in Suits because suits are more boring than blazers. So so yeah, EA knocked it out of the park with their boring, terrible presentation.
Well done, EA. All
Yeah.
right. The Out of Left Field Award, I award to Square Enix for Final Fantasy 15 Fishing with the Boys. I did not see that
Yes.
coming. I
Yeah.
VR Final Fantasy 15. Yeah, I saw that coming. Fishing with the boys. Let's go on a camping trip with the boys from Final Fantasy 15. That's the kind of goofy stuff I'd expect from Nintendo. I mean,
Yeah.
they make something like Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido, and you're like, yeah, that's totally Nintendo. I can see
Yeah.
them doing that. Square
And,
Enix
and
comes,
just
and Square Enix does some weird stuff, but it's like, yeah, VR fishing with the
but
Final Fantasy
just
boys.
the way they introduce that too, because they introduce it as just a run of the mill fishing game.
Yeah,
It's like, why in the world is a fishing game getting top billing at an E3 event?
because it's Final Fantasy.
And then this giant monster fish jumps out, and you're like, oh. And
I wonder if there's a
yeah,
cooking mini game, or if that, around the campfire, plates of pork and beans and corn and stuff, or if that's just a cutscene, or if you get to cook with
maybe.
the boys
Yeah.
too. Roasting weenies and marshmallows with the boys while fishing. That's going to be
Yeah.
great.
All right. My last award is the All the Ports Award. This is the game. This is the award going to the game that supports most consoles humanly possible, and it goes to Ubisoft with Just Dance, because not only is it coming to the Xbox One, it's coming to the Xbox 360. Not only is it coming to the PS3 or the PS4, it's coming to the PS3. Not only is it coming to the Switch, it's coming to the Wii U. And not just that, it's coming to the Wii. Seriously, the Wii. This game, that system has not received a title release in years,
But it
and
hasn't received a game
Ubisoft,
since Just Dance
yeah,
2017 last year.
yeah, and Ubisoft is like, there's still millions of people who play the Wii. We're giving them Just Dance,
Yeah.
and kudos for Ubisoft.
What do you do on the Wii? Just dance. Gas Can says he is wondering if you can gut fish in VR. TriLink says best brutal performance in a video game award. Mr. Ibuki, the ARMS producer. Yeah. So they had that ARMS Invitational, and
Uh-huh.
Mr. Ibuki, who's the producer for ARMS, just mopped the floor with everyone. I bet that guy could probably mop the floor with you with one arm tied behind his back. I'm just going to use the right arm. Oh, man, he is good at that game. It was really impressive.
Yeah, which is not something that you could normally say about game developers, because a lot of game developers, they'll make the game, but they'll also not be the best at playing it, and they
Too busy making it, not playing it.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple more awards here. So
all right.
those. I have the We Didn't Think This Through award that goes to Ubisoft for showing off Assassin's Creed, but instead of showing it off in the conference hall where they held their conference, they said, let's move outside to where we have some people set up. in the blazing sun, and let's film the footage off of the monitor that we can't see. And it didn't work at all, so they immediately just cut the segment short and went back in. It's like, yeah, you really didn't think that through, did you, Ubisoft? That's a really dumb, bad idea.
Yeah.
The Have You No Shame award goes to Nintendo for not only its plurality of amiibo that lock content in games that you already paid full price for. That's annoying enough. But now it's locking out content in the DLC to the game that you already paid full price for. So you pay $60 for Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? There are already amiibo that unlock exclusive content, like the Wolf Link companion. There's a couple exclusive weapons and armors and stuff in the game that can only be had through amiibo unlocks. So now you pay an additional $20 for DLC, and for $20 you get couple treasure chests, DLC Pack 1, DLC Pack 2, but that $20 does not include some content. You're going to have to buy some more amiibo to unlock content in the DLC that you paid $20 for a $60 game. Have you no shame, Nintendo? Enjoy your award. Okay, 2 more awards. I call this award the most adorkable, and I award it to Shigeru Miyamoto and Yves Guillemot. I'm terrible at French. I'm very, very sorry. Hang on a second. Let me get that. There it is. There we go. There they are. Aren't they adorkable? Look at those two. I love them. Oh, that's so great. So, and my last award is the Best Reaction Award, which I award to Jake Solomon, who's the creative director of XCOM 2 at Firaxis, who had a wonderful, wonderful reaction to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is XCOM. So he said, "There are a few times in my career that I've been as surprised as when I was watching that presentation. Just like everyone else, my jaw dropped a little when I heard the phrase, 'As you see, Luigi has taken half cover.' What world am I in right now? I couldn't believe it. But I realized that this is finally how I can introduce XCOM to my daughters. I can finally play something like XCOM with my daughters, introduce the basic concepts. Then, when they're old enough, maybe we can move on to XCOM together." That was really cool to see. It's neat to see these things become standards of gameplay. It's good. Hopefully, they'll come up with something awesome. I liked the jumping mechanic. They'll come up with some cool twists, and I'll definitely steal them. I never thought I'd see Mario taking cover with a gun. So that was Firaxis' Jake Solomon, and I just loved his reaction to XCOM being cribbed by Mario and the Rabbids. That was so great. What a wonderful reaction. He's like, no, I don't mind it at all. It's great that the whole full cover, half cover thing is just a standard of that genre of gaming. And this is a friendly entry-level version of XCOM that I can introduce my young daughters to before we move on to... Because XCOM's pretty hardcore. That game will kick your ass, especially if you're new at it. So... and that's it for our E3 2017 awards.
We kept it under 3 hours, people.
Nice, nice. And we're going to have to wrap it up because I need to go back to work. I'm looking at my email and I've got some stuff to do. So thank you all for sticking with us.
Yes, thank you.
Let's
E3 is always a fun event. And
it's funny because E3 is the week where we spend so much time obsessing about video games that we don't have time to actually play any of them. I played no video games this week. I was too busy learning about new ones that I may play someday. So anyway, let's plug our stuff and get out. Andrew Eisen here, E-I-S-E-N is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube to find my YouTube videos. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. And hey, I have a Patreon now. So, life is happening. And getting in the way of the fun things I want to do. So if you want to support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Andrew Eisen. I've got some goals, like making even more fun content for my YouTube channel. And I've got some rewards for people who do support me on Patreon, such as extra videos, some behind the scenes blog posts, and a video where I literally serenade you with thanks. So check that out if you're so inclined. And Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, and you can also follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, you can check out OK Game Devs and OKGameDev.com. And just like Andrew, I also have a Patreon. I'm trying to remember what my Patreon account is, but you can. You can see it on the side there at Random Tower. Easy Night. There we go. That just kind of helps me to keep the sites up and running, and also, help. I'm trying to use it as a means to help me get more content out, which you guys may have noticed I haven't done a whole lot lately, and that's something I'm trying to rectify. I've just been had a really rough couple of months, and I really want to get back into writing some stuff, and because there's lots of things I want to talk about, and I talk about them everywhere else except for my websites, and I'm just like, I need to do that some more. So yeah, but that goes to help support Random Tower and OK Game Devs and some other ancillary stuff that I do. So there you go.
It's tough when cost of living outpaces your salary.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hope you all enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week for another podcast. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.